ancestors and their valuable past and present contributions to this land. Ce faisant, nous affirmons notre engagement et notre responsabilité envers l'amélioration des relations entre les nations et l'approfondissement de notre compréhension du peuple autochtone locaux et de leur culture. Walalan. Thank you. Merci. Your Worship, staff, presenters, and members of the public have the right to address City Council in the official language of their choice. All public meetings of Moncton City Council are simultaneously translated. Translation headsets are available at the entrance of the council chambers. As part of a pilot project, the city now uses Wordly, an AI-powered simultaneous translation platform for meetings in council chambers. If you experience any issues or would like to share feedback about the interpretation services, please contact the City Clerk's office. Meetings are broadcast live in both official languages on the city's YouTube channel, accessible via moncton.ca, and will also be aired at 9 p.m. this evening on rogerstv.com. Individuals who have registered with the City Clerk's office at least 7 days prior to the meeting's agenda deadline will be allocated 5 minutes to deliver their presentation. All other public presenters will be allotted 2 minutes. 1 minute warning will be provided to indicate the time remaining. An important reminder, all presenters, city staff, and council members are expected to conduct themselves respectfully at all times. Disparaging remarks, offensive language, or profane expressions directed towards council, staff, or a member of the public will not be permitted. Any breach of this code of conduct may result in the presenter being directed to leave the council chambers at the discretion of the chair. Les entrevenants et les membres du personnel ont droit de s'adresser au conseil municipal dans la langue officielle de leur choix. Toutes les séances publiques du conseil municipal de Moncton font l'objet d'une interprétation simultanée. Des écouteurs pour l'interprétation sont disponibles à l'entrée de la séance du conseil. Dans le cadre d'un projet pilote,
Improving relations between nations and deepening our understanding of local Indigenous people and their HoloLens culture.
Interprétation simultanée alimentée par l'intelligence artificielle pour les réunions tenues dans la salle du conseil. Si vous avez des difficultés avec le service d'interprétation ou souhaitez nous faire part de vos commentaires, veuillez communiquer avec le bureau de la greffière. Les séances sont diffusées en direct dans les 2 langues officielles sur la chaîne YouTube de la ville, accessible sur le site moncton.ca, et seront également diffusées à 21h ce soir sur rogerstv.com. Les personnes qui se sont inscrites auprès du bureau de la greffière au moins 7 jours avant la date limite de dépôt de l'ordre du jour de la séance disposeront de 5 minutes pour faire leur présentation. Tous les autres intervenants publics disposeront de 2 minutes. Un avertissement d'1 minute sera donné pour indiquer le temps restant. Un rappel important, tous les intervenants, le personnel municipal et les membres du conseil sont tenus de se comporter de manière respectueuse en tout temps. Les remarques désobligeantes, le langage offensant ou les expressions grossières à l'égard du conseil municipal, du personnel ou des membres du public ne seront pas tolérés. Tout manquant à ce code de conduite pourra entraîner l'expulsion de l'intervenant de la salle du conseil. Next, Your Worship, will be a special item. We have the pleasure of having a blessing, a smudge of Moncton City Council Chambers. Donna Augustine, Thunderbird Turtle Woman, is here to perform a smudge for us. Your Worship. Could you press the little button in front of you? Thank you.
Okay. Kwe, medalotio. Bonjour, mon ami. My friends, I'm going to light a smudge first. The smudge represents a cleansing, a purification. So it purifies our spirit and it prepares us for something. Before each ceremony, before anything important, a smudge is always lit. Not just here, but all the way across North America, what we refer to as Turtle Island. Every tribe, Lakota, the Ojibwe, Navajo, everywhere we go. So I'm going to symbolically light this now and offer it symbolically to all of you to purify your spirits. And I offer this. And then I'm going to take this tobacco, which is also very symbolic. I've never smoked cigarettes in my life, but tobacco is symbolic. It's the offering. We can light the smudge, and I promised I would only light a little one. Sweetgrass, cedar, or sage can be lit in a smudge, but the tobacco is actually the offering. You don't smudge with the tobacco. So I'm going to hold this tobacco, and I'm going to offer this to the Creator on behalf of everyone here. Congratulations, by the way. And I just want to, if I were to offer any words of wisdom, would be to follow your heart. Um, it's going to be tough. As you know, since June 1st, there's been a lot of really traumatic deaths here or overdoses, and not all deaths. But it's going to be a tough job. We're dealing with something that, unprecedented, not just here, everywhere. So you have a big job in front of you, but I know that you can do this together. When we work together, we can do this. So I'm going to offer this prayer to the Creator to ask that the Creator guide each and every one of you, in the next 4 years. Number 4 is very significant to Indigenous people. It represents the 4 directions, the 4 stages of life. So I'm going to ask the Creator to watch over each and every one of you and to guide you with your ancestors. Every one of us carry our ancestors in our bloodline, every single one of us. And then to give thanks. And then I will offer that prayer to the east direction where the sun first rises. This direction represents the children, the yet unborn. Then the south direction, the direction of the women. We give thanks for all the women in our lives. The west direction where the sun goes down is that the direction of our ancestors, the ones who went before us. And I heard it mentioned here today. I'm so happy to hear ancestors mentioned. And then the north direction is the direction of the men, where we give thanks for all the men in our lives. We pray for all the men. And then lastly, the earth that we call our mother. Mother Earth sustains us, gives us everything that we need to survive: water, the trees that provide that oxygen, the animals that give up their lives for us to live, the plants. And so if we're to think 7 generations ahead, are 7 generations from now, are they going to enjoy clean water to drink? Are they going to have good air to breathe? And so on that note, I'm going to say a prayer. By the way, my spirit name is Thunderbird Turtle Woman. Agiso kolali ko chikiskuk tandel mawaliek. Eduarta maya bo manintige mawidajigal majuno. Ilukwel kiloko gulso an jugado dan nudol yidish ankidas waan. Walali kiskuk tandel mawalik at tandel numentas ma aminal. How chibanuk chamishan leoto nadil. At jamishkipu dan lemin nadil. Walali guchinin janna at me wish kidajig nasit amusti kasad madi chidnagmuk. Hab kadesnuk chamishan leoto nadil. Walali guchim
Thank you, Elder, for that warm blessing. Thank you. Madam City Clerk?
Next would be the adoption of the agenda for today's meeting. I don't believe there are any additions.
So this is a show of hands or electronic?
Should be electronic.
Okay, so the motion's been moved by Councillor Butler and seconded by Councillor Kingston.
Oh, just a second. I will bring it up.
Sure.
Yeah. Or we can do show of hands for today only, and then we will do, as of the next meetings, we'll do electronic.
Perfect. So show of hands in support of the agenda as presented. So motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Next would be conflict of interest, les déclarations des conflits d'intérêts.
Not seeing any, City Clerk?
Next are the adoption of minutes of the meetings of April 20th and May 4th, and the special public meeting of April 23rd.
So for this council, I will need a mover and a seconder. So moved by Councillor Richard, seconded by Councillor Turner. Any questions on the minutes? Not seeing any. Oh, we do have a question. Councillor Kavukian?
Mr. Mayor, would this be a moment to introduce potential amendments to the minutes if an error has been found?
Yes, if an error has been found, yes, you can state that right now if you wish.
Thanks. I just wanted to mention in the special meeting of, there was a misspelling of one of the members of the public who was there. It was Carl Bainbridge. C-A-R-L. Okay. Thank you.
City Clerk has made that note. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just on the question, point of order is that wouldn't it have to be somebody, if we're going to accept them, is accepted as recorded then, not as read, because people would have to be here at the time. These go back to
so the previous
the 4th and the 5th. So
previous
councilors that were here. Somebody could read it and vote on it, but I believe that
City Clerk?
We could take a motion from a former councillor to adopt.
Yes.
As a seconder, as opposed to Councillor Turner, as Councillor Turner was not present for the meeting.
So Councillor Richard and Councillor Butler will move the minutes then.
Okay. Noted.
Okay. That's all been noted. So I'll call the question. All those in favor, signal saying, or showing of hands again? Showing of hands of the minutes, as noted. So, Councillor Mutch? All in favor? Yeah, okay. All in favor, motion passes.
As of the next meeting, this will all be done electronically. Next would be, there is no consent agenda. Il n'y a pas de question de soumise à l'approbation du Conseil. Public presentations. The public presentation this evening, we have one. It's a presentation of Peter McKee, More Than Food Bank, Building Food Security, and Christine Taylor is here to give that. Yep, there she is.
Hello, bonjour, Christine. Good to see you
afternoon.
again. You will see a timer behind me for your 5-minute presentation. And I think you do have some slides, do you not?
Yes.
Okay, so we will get that up.
So I press, I don't have to press that to speak? It just,
No, we're good. Yep.
Okay. Good afternoon, Your Worship, members of council, city staff, and everyone attending today's meeting. My name is Christine Taylor, and I'm the Executive Director of the Peter McKee Community Center, and I've brought with me today Nikki Dankos, and joining us are several members of the Board of Directors, to my left back there. Before I begin my presentation, I want to say congratulations to our new City Council, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today at your first meeting. The Peter McKee Community Center exists in response to food security issues for Moncton residents, and year after year we see an increased need at the food bank. Seniors are the fastest growing demographic, with a 12% increase in food bank use compared to the previous year. We've had a 10% increase in new client registrations. We provided over 26,000 food bank appointments last fiscal year,
which is a 5% increase compared to the previous year. We served over 2,500 households and over 6,300 Moncton residents last year. That's incredible, and it's a lot of food. Over $7.2 million worth of food was distributed last year through our food bank and outreach program. Our retail food recovery program collected $1.6 million worth of food, and our Medavie kitchen recovered 65,000 pounds of food that would have otherwise ended in a landfill. But the Peter MacKay Centre is more than a food bank for Moncton residents. We have 4 core programs that provide support to the Greater Moncton area and surrounding municipalities. The Medavie Kitchen provides adult and youth cooking classes, and I want to take this opportunity to thank Councillor Much for volunteering and leading this program over the last few years, and for coordinating the relationship we have with Vibrant Life and the creation of a new cookbook to support the Junior Chef Academy. So thank you, June. The Rotary Community Garden has 144 raised garden beds with 2 large greenhouses. We plan to grow over 10,000 pounds of food for the food bank. Our eye care clinic is the first and only one of its kind. It offers free eye exams and prescription glasses to people that don't have coverage. A big shout out to Dr. Doherty and Pierre Landry for their generosity and passion for helping the less fortunate. Without them, there wouldn't be a Peter MacKay Eye Care Clinic. Through a unique partnership with the Heart and Stroke Foundation, first aid training is provided free of charge to clients, volunteers, and charitable organizations. And this year we're celebrating our 10th anniversary. I'm so proud to be leading such an amazing organization, and what makes us great is the 135 plus volunteers that show up every day, even when the work is hard. From the volunteers that sit on our board of directors to the full-time volunteers that come every day to work in the food bank, to those who volunteer their time for special events and community programs. I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, because without you, we wouldn't be celebrating this 10-year milestone. We're about to launch a new website and quarterly newsletter for our 10-year anniversary celebration, and we have a new fundraiser called the YQM Raffle, and 2 celebration events are scheduled for September. As a supersized food bank and multi-service center, we have unique challenges, and we need help to overcome these to celebrate our 20th anniversary. Number 1 is our location. We're located in the middle of a high-crime neighborhood, and we experience ongoing vandalism and safety concerns that now require 24/7 security costs. The ongoing damage to the building last year cost the center over $10,000 in front and back door repairs, and the ongoing damage to the garden fence was repaired 5 times. Proximity to other charities that are also doing great work. We're all competing for the same community donations and corporate sponsorships and grant funding. Fundraising events are becoming more challenging to sell tickets, and everyone has a golf tournament scheduled this year. Day-to-day operational expenses is increasing every year, and the cost of utilities, services, and essentials have increased this year by approximately 10%. Our aged building that we operate was built in the 1980s and is in constant need of repair and upgrades, and the maintenance of the property has become more challenging every year. We have unstable revenue. We do not have ongoing revenue streams to support the longevity of our agency, and we depend 100% on grant funding and private sponsorships, corporate sponsorships. And in closing, I would like to say the Peter MacKay Centre has grown substantially in the last 10 years. And for the organization to continue thriving, we need more support from the City of Moncton. I've already reached out to the city's administration, and several departments are reviewing our needs, including the legal department and public works. When you're presented with a list of our needs, please remember my presentation today and the impact the Peter MacKay Centre has on the Greater Moncton community. Together, we can provide vital services and essential programs that will build a stronger, more vibrant community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Christine, for your presentation. I'll open the mics to council members to see if they have any questions at this point. Councillor Mutch.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Christine, for coming, Nikki and the board. It's not a question, but more a comment. Congratulations and thank you for all the hard work you do for our community. Being a weekly volunteer there on Wednesday nights for the over 5 years, I've seen the big need that you all fulfill, and you do a great job, Christine, as Executive Director. Thank you for all your work.
Thank you, Councillor Mutch.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the report and keeping within the time frame. That's really amazing to see.
It was a challenge.
You did a great job of presentation. I've just got a couple of questions, I guess not a lot, but because you've covered a good amount of them, here the information we need. Help me with this one, because I'm not 100% sure, but do you serve clients outside of the city of Moncton, i.e. Riverview, Dieppe, or outlying areas, or are you exclusively in the city of Moncton?
We are exclusively for the city of Moncton. However, we are the only food bank that is open 5 days a week and 1 evening a week. So if people from Riverview or Dieppe, if their food banks are closed, because they're only open a few days a week, they come to Peter McKee and we serve them as an anonymous if they're in a crisis. Dieppe has its own food bank and so does Riverview.
Thank you. That's great information for all of us.
You would think we serve the greater Moncton area when you look at 26,000 food bank appointments last year, right? You would think that, but no, it's just for Moncton.
Just in Moncton, for sure. And I know it's grown rapidly over the last few years, for sure. The other thing is that there's a small little caveat in there that you added, and I know both these gentlemen, Dr. Doherty and Pierre Landry, but I wonder if you could just briefly explain what they actually do and how valuable that service is to our community as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, we're the first and only food bank in Canada to offer this service, and it's free eye exams to anyone that doesn't have coverage. And originally the program started with our food bank clients, but you know, they've all had their eye exams pretty much and had some eyeglasses. So we've now extended it out to the greater Moncton area. So people in Riverview, Dieppe, we've even had some people from Sackville, Shediac can contact the clinic and have an appointment for eye exams and eyeglasses.
I thank you for that. I know they provide a valuable service that really wouldn't be available if it wasn't for your hosting it, let's say, in your facility. So thank you for that, and thank you to both Dr. Doherty and Pierre for their dedication to this program.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Kingston. Oh, give me a second. There we go.
Thank you, Monsieur Mayor. Thanks, Christine and Nikki, for coming in, and congratulations on the 10th, albeit the challenges are pretty, they jump right off the page. Again, you mentioned unstable revenue, and that's a concern, obviously, and you were talking to the city of Moncton these days. I have to ask you, other levels of government or other agencies looking forward maybe to jumping on the revenue stream, or are there encouraging signs coming into 2026 for the Peter McKee, maybe?
Well, as we've all heard, the province has, you know, given the provincial government has given Feed New Brunswick $9,000 over 3 years for food purchases. So we don't know what that's going to look like yet, but we're hoping that that will help us somewhat. We are a supersized food bank. We are only one of two in the entire province. The other one is Fredericton. We're the only one that has a shopping cart model where clients come in and they choose the food that works for them. That also reduces food waste. And these other programs that we have, those are add-ons that, you know, that we have. So it's always a challenge with funding. We don't have any funding from the federal government except for grant applications, and many of those are project-based. And so we're really trying to put together a strategic plan this year to how can we create some permanent revenue streams so that we make sure that the center is stabilized financially and that we're going to be here. Because even though in tough times we don't shy back and say, oh, well, we can't do more. We're always thinking, what else can we do? Right. So.
Resilient bunch at the Peter McKee. Thank you for that, Christine, and best of luck with the fundraisers this summer and the new website and the YQM as well. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Kobulkian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Christine, thank you so much for your presentation. I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit more about your community garden and what role that plays in both the the Peter McKee in terms of its food supply, but also what other roles it plays in your organization. Thanks.
Thank you. So our community garden, we have, like I said, 144 garden beds and 2 large greenhouses. And this year we're hoping to grow certain products that we can use and turn into sauces and possibly a social enterprise. That's what the thought is. It's still at that birthing stage yet. But we also offer garden boxes to seniors that are living in the Moncton area that want to participate in urban gardening. And we have an open house garden party scheduled for July 21st, and that will showcase our garden, and we've turned it into a bit of a tranquil space for people to enjoy as well. So we're hoping that you'll all be able to come for that.
Count me in. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to make a note to thank you to our sponsors, because the operations of the garden, it is also quite costly to operate it, but we're very fortunate that we have community sponsorships for our boxes. And I want to say thank you to the City of Moncton, because you actually sponsor 4 of those boxes. So thank you for that. Appreciate that support.
Thank you, Christine. And any way that the City of Moncton can help you, just on your challenges alone that we see before us, the 12% increase in seniors, you know, the 10% increase in new clients, and what really is shocking is the 28% increase in food that was distributed within the last year. So these are all challenges that we welcome to see on council meetings like this, so that we know that we can work on solutions, right? It's all about solutions. So if we can continue to be your supporter at the municipal level, we will, and encourage the provincial and federal governments to be involved as well.
Thank you. And that's one goal of our quarterly newsletter, is that things that are happening, we'll be able to report them. And so you'll get that information when it's happening, instead of having to wait for a presentation or come. I mean, you're invited to come anytime, but that's what the goal of our quarterly newsletter is. You'll get to hear about all the events and their stats and everything that we're doing. So
good. Thank you very much. And please take back a big thank you on behalf of City Council, back to your board and the people that work at that shelter, because I know that I've been in there many times, as you know, and it's a very busy area. It's not some place that we can turn a blind eye to. So, thank you. Madam City Clerk?
Next administration presentations, exposé de l'administration. And the first this evening is a 2026 report from the Seniors Advisory Committee. And I believe that Ellen Jeffries and committee are going to come to the podium.
Yeah, good afternoon. Mayor Crosman, members of the council. Bonjour, Monsieur Maire, mon conseil. My name's Lillian Surrett, and I'm the chair of the Moncton Senior Advisory Committee. And I'm joined today by Jill Durepeau and Cecily Samuel. Get you right here. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. Comme c'est pour beaucoup d'entre vous la première fois que notre comité se présente, nous souhaitons profiter de cette occasion pour vous donner un aperçu du rôle du comité consultatif des aînés et vous faire part des progrès que nous avons accomplis depuis notre dernière présentation il y a à peu près 1 an. Over the last year, our committee has remained active on issues that matter to older adults in Moncton. Today, we will share a brief overview of the committee, highlight some of the work completed over the past year, and speak about our priorities going forward. So now I'm going to pass the mic over to Cecily, and now it's your turn.
Good afternoon. My name is Cecily Samuel, and I joined the committee in fall of 2025 along with Jill Durepeau. We joined the committee following the end of the terms of two long-serving members, Betty Jean Peacock and Payson Rowell, whose contributions were greatly appreciated. The committee is made up of Moncton residents aged 55 and over, with a range of experiences and perspectives. As several committee terms will end in October 26, 2026, we are actively encouraging residents to consider applying. We hope to continue building a committee that reflects the diversity of seniors in Moncton, including language, age, background, and lived experiences. Now pass it over to Jill.
Thank you, Cicely. Bonjour, je m'appelle Jill Durepot. Le comité consultatif des aînés joue un rôle de liaison entre le maire, le conseil municipal et les aînés de Moncton. Il s'efforce d'enrichir et
A committee is being presented. We would like to take this opportunity to give you an overview of the role of the Seniors Advisory Committee and to share the progress we have made since our last presentation. About a year ago, over the last year, our committee has remained active on that.
Les aînés. The committee also makes recommendations on city services that affect seniors, including public safety, public works, recreation, and transportation. Selon son mandat, le comité agit comme ressource auprès du maire et du conseil, formule des avis et des recommandations, aide à cerner les obstacles à l'accès aux services municipaux et assure le suivi des mesures découlant de ces réunions. In short, the committee helps ensure that the needs and the perspectives of seniors are reflected in city programs, services, and decision-making.
Merci, Jill. Throughout the year, the committee met regularly and received presentations on a wide range of topics that helped inform our work and strengthen our understanding of issues affecting older adults in Moncton. Nous avons eu l'occasion de recevoir des présentations pour plusieurs sujets importants pour les aînés et pour la collectivité en général. These included presentations on City of Moncton public safety, the municipal plan review, the City of Moncton communications, the Moncton Public Library, the Riverfront Master Plan, Kodiak RCMP community, policing, City of Moncton parking services, culture, Moncton and City of Moncton social inclusion. We also had the opportunity to meet with the provincial minister responsible for seniors, the Honorable Lynn Chantal Boudreau. Many of these presentations connected directly to the committee's priorities. For example, the committee received a presentation from Fire Chief Landry on public safety, which gave members the opportunity to ask questions and share suggestions related to safety concerns affecting seniors. The committee also heard from the city's communications department about the strategies and tools used to keep older residents informed, which supported our work around inclusive communications. Other presentations helped members stay informed about broader issues that affect daily life for seniors, including access to information, community safety, cultural opportunities, public spaces, and changes to city services. These discussions gave committee members a chance to raise practical concerns, ask questions, and bring forward the perspective of older residents. Okay. Back to Cecily.
In 2025, to 2026, the committee focused its work on four main priority areas. The first was encouraging City Council to support the creation of a dedicated seniors center. This remained an important focus because committee members continue to hear how valuable it would be for older adults in Moncton to have a welcoming, dedicated space for programs, services, social connection, and community activities. The second was public safety. This included attention to the safety concerns that affect seniors in daily life and the importance of making sure those concerns are understood and considered. The third was public transportation. The committee remained focused on the importance of accessibility and affordable transportation for older adults, recognizing how closely this is tied to independence, access to services, and participation in community life. The fourth was inclusive communications. The committee wanted to help ensure that seniors are aware of city programs, services, and activities, and that information is shared in ways that are clear, accessible, and appropriate for a wide range of older adults. Back to Jill.
Cette année, le comité a réalisé des progrès notables dans plusieurs domaines. L'une des avancées les plus significatives a été le soutien apporté par le conseil municipal à la proposition de création d'un centre dédié aux aînés. Le comité consultatif des aînés avait encouragé le conseil municipal et l'administration à poursuivre leur collaboration avec le groupe du centre des aînés sur cette initiative. Et nous saluons la décision du conseil municipal d'approuver cette proposition. With respect to public safety, the committee sent a letter in July 2025 to City Moncton Administration, Council, and the Municipal Plan Review Committee chairs to encourage attention to safety issues affecting seniors. The committee also supported the designation of Moncton's bylaw enforcement officers as peace officers and sent a letter to Public Safety Minister Robert Gauvin in support of that request. Members also heard presentations from Fire Chief Landry and the Kodiak RCMP Community Policing on safety issues affecting older adults. En ce qui concerne les transports en commun, le comité a également continué à promouvoir des options de transport plus abordables et à organiser une séance d'orientation sur les transports en commun destinés aux aînés en juin 2025. Les membres ont également adressé une lettre en juillet 2025 au conseil municipal, à l'administration municipale, à Kodiak Transport et au président du comité d'examen des plans municipaux afin d'encourager l'amélioration des services destinés aux aînés. The committee also encouraged inclusive marketing strategies so that seniors are better informed about city programs, events, and services. The seniors webpage at moncton.ca/seniors was updated regularly and received almost 11,000 visits in 2025. The seniors newsletter is now sent monthly and has over 1,000 subscribers. Water bill inserts are now used to promote seniors programming and reach approximately 15,000 households. Because these inserts go to homes rather than apartments and only to residents who have not signed up for e-billing, they are a particularly useful way to reach older residents who may be more socially isolated, may not have a built-in community of apartments around them, and may be less likely to receive information online. Our printable monthly senior activity calendar was also launched in January 2026 and is now promoted through the web page, the newsletter, social media, and community contacts.
Okay. Merci, Gilles. Le comité a également eu le plaisir de soutenir et de promouvoir plusieurs événements et présentations destinés aux personnes âgées au cours de l'année. These included the
in
City
several
of
areas.
Moncton's first annual Seniors Month in June 2025, International Day of Older Persons events, and reception in September and October 2025, and holiday social held in November of 2025. The committee also supported educational presentations, including a session on grocery shopping tips for seniors at the Crosman Community Center in February of 2026, and a presentation on wills and estates planning at Centennial Lodge. The city then built on that momentum by celebrating the second annual Seniors Month in 2026, including a Seniors Expo on June 1st and a social luncheon on June the 8th. Other activities support healthy aging, including low cost and free fitness, recreation wellness opportunities. Okay, go to site 7. With council's approval, the proposal for a dedicated senior center committee recognized that this long-standing priority had reached an important milestone. At our spring strategic planning session, we therefore chose to replace that item with a new priority for 26-27, helping older residents better understand the city's new hotspot parking program. This priority grew out of feedback we have been hearing from seniors in the community. Many older residents have told us they are not yet comfortable with the new parking system and would benefit from clearer, more accessible public education on how it works. To help the committee better understand the context and the changes involved, members received a presentation on the new parking system in April. Since then, the committee has begun looking at practical ways to support public awareness. This has included sharing parking information through the senior-friendly activity calendar and exploring an information session for seniors in partnership with bylaw enforcement. Our goal is to help ensure that older adults have the information they need to feel confident navigating this new system and to reduce confusion or barriers in accessing downtown services and amenities.
Outre cette nouvelle priorité, le comité a convenu que ces autres
These seniors in the
objectifs
city throughout the
principaux
year
restent d'importance et devraient être poursuivis au cours de l'année à venir. These include public safety, public transportation, and inclusive communications, all issues that continue to have a direct impact on the daily lives of older adults in Moncton.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Do we know to set that? No? Oh, okay. Just don't let me touch that. OK. Pour l'avenir, le comité a également défini d'autres priorités pour l'année à venir. The first is to continue holding seniors events and activities in different areas of the city. The committee feels it is important to continue supporting access to events and activities for seniors across the city so that older adults in different neighborhoods have opportunities to participate and stay connected. And I know the one that we had at the Crosman Center, I got some feedback and saying they were happy because they didn't live that far and they were able to attend. The second is to support the relaunch of the Senior Friendly Business Program. The committee sees this as a valuable way to strengthen awareness among local businesses of how they can better serve older adults and help make Moncton a more welcoming and inclusive community for seniors. En somme, sa priorité montre que le comité continue de travailler sur l'accessibilité, l'inclusion et qualité de vie des personnes âgées de Moncton.
The main objectives remain important and should be pursued over the coming year. These include public safety.
De vous présenter aujourd'hui. We would be pleased to answer questions if you do have any, and if we can't answer them, well, Ellen is here somewhere, and she'll help us out. Thank you.
Merci Liliane. Merci à tout le comité aussi pour ton bel travail. Thank you to the entire committee. This is one committee that I sat on, as well as Councillor Bourgeois. And as you can see, we've accomplished quite a bit in a year and in 2 years since being appointed to that committee. And I can tell you, you have been a great committee to work with. I've always attended as many meetings as I could, which was pretty much all of them. And it was always great to have that feedback in the room. And it was nice to be able to bring in presentations that were senior driven and on the minds of the seniors around that table and throughout the community. So I thank you for allowing me to sit on that committee and work with you. And there is one thing, Lillian, that you did mention at the end was the staff member that is now here and taking care of this. I can't see her. She's hiding over in the corners. So she has done a great job with that seniors and youth committee, which we'll hear about shortly. So that is great. So I do see there are some questions. So I will go to the questions. Councillor Mutch.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. It's been a great year, obviously, really good work done and engagement. So thank you for all that. And thank you to Ellen, too. I have 2 questions, actually. One of them is regarding the newsletter you have. So on the campaign trail, I did rely heavily on social media, but I heard from a senior residents that that's not always accessible. So as a counselor, do you have any recommendations on the best way for us to reach out to our senior residents or people who just don't have social media overall? I see Ellen approaching the mic.
I'm gonna let Ellen.
I think maybe that's a better answer from Ellen.
Well, we definitely a challenge that the committee is working on.
Yeah.
We did hear in our, I can send you our engagement on seniors, we did ask on how they would like to be informed, and we did hear overwhelmingly that Facebook and website was how people were looking.
Oh, okay, great.
But that said, we know that many people aren't online, so the Recreation Department has recently printed a guide, and that's been distributed to different partners, and whenever we go out to events, we bring that with us. And then the new activity calendar that we have, that can be printed as well from the website. So we drop some off at the library, and anytime I'm going out and giving presentations, we'll bring hard copies of those as well. And they're always sent to our partners. So if ever you hear of anybody who's looking for hard copies of things, let us know.
Okay,
We're
great.
happy to help.
Thank you, Ellen. The second question I have, actually, I've been talking with Jeff, and I know Chief Landry's in here, but I know one of your priorities is the hotspot parking, which we've heard a lot about. So if you don't mind, Chief, if you want to just talk about the implementation coming up, potentially, with that more accessible.
Thank you, Your Worship and Councillor. Yeah, so we actually just received all our signs this week. We're waiting for, the biggest one is the pay station. So basically there'll be 3 ways for anybody to pay for parking. One will be to download the app, which would be the recommended, because then if you only need to park for 17 minutes, you only pay for 17 minutes, so that's the advantage. The other one is to scan the QR code. And the third way is going to be with these pay stations that are going to be spread out. We ordered 30 of them. So people, it's like a ATM machine. So you'll be able to go at the mean, pay cash or credit card, debit, whatever way you want to pay for your parking. So we're hoping by the end of July, all of this will be implemented. And we have some videos that are coming up and some pamphlets. So we have a promotional video that explains the three ways of paying, and also a pamphlet, a rollout pamphlet that people, so we're waiting for those to be printed out also.
Wonderful. Thanks for that update. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Your Worship. That was actually my first comment was going to be on hotspot parking. And Councillor Much, thank you for bringing that up. And I was only really going to say that we're fairly new here in these seats, a lot of us, but we have heard loud and clear through the election campaign and since our time on council that it is an issue. And I just wanted to assure you that we are committed to finding solutions and making sure that it is workable and manageable. I know there's a lot of people at home probably right now listening or watching this broadcast saying, I hate that hotspot parking. So just want you to know we are hearing you loud and clear, and we're all working on a solution. You'd mentioned about a letter, and I think it was in the briefing too, that you've sent off to the Minister of Public Safety in regards to allowing us to give more power to our bylaw enforcement officers. I was wondering if you had a response from the minister, or if there was a response came that way. And that could be an Ellen question, I don't know. But anyway, we're like you, we just go to Ellen.
We have not received a response.
And is it just a recent thing that happened, or has it been a while?
It's been a few months.
Months. Yeah. Okay, I appreciate that very much. And the last final thing I want to mention, and I know you just touched on it briefly, about the new senior center and the work that's being done by the committee, by yourselves in that regard. And I think we all look forward to working along with you and the group to make sure that can move along as smoothly and as rapidly. Speaking for myself, but I think all of us are pretty much are in line with that. So we think you've got a wonderful location identified, and obviously the needs are there, and your numbers are increasing, and it's wonderful to see. We just want to keep working and see more and more events like you're bringing to the table for our community. Thank you for your work that you're doing.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Kavoki. Oh, hold on. There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for that great presentation. And it's really, 55 means that in 5 short years, I'll be eligible to join the Seniors Committee. So it's very good to know that. I appreciate that. One of the things I wanted to ask you about is, of course, we all know that Moncton's undergone some pretty significant population growth, almost all of which has been newcomers to Moncton, many from other provinces, many from elsewhere in the Maritimes, and of course many newcomers to Canada as well, which means that we now have a group of seniors in the city that doesn't look or sound or live the way it did before. So I guess I'm wondering what the Seniors Committee does to ensure that it's representative of all seniors in Moncton, and what sort of outreach it might do to newcomer seniors. Because one thing I know about newcomer families is it's often seniors who have the hardest time forming new connections in a new country, often because they lack the language and they lack the sort of the working social life that comes from having a job in their new country. Thank you.
I can just say, actually, that's a great point. And Cicely is actually one of our newest members of the committee and a newcomer to Moncton, originally from Antigua. So she has brought great insight and new perspective to the committee. And that's definitely something that we want to be aware of and be as representative of the community as we can be. So we actually have a few positions that are coming up. Some vacancies. Will be very sad to see some of our members go, but we do have about 4 or 5 positions that will open up. So we have been very proactive in reaching out to groups like Moncton Cares, Magma, CAFI, to make sure that their membership is aware of our committee and that they know that they are more than welcome to apply. And anybody watching at home, we'd love to see those applications come in.
Thank you. Cicely, welcome to Moncton. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Not seeing any other questions, so thank you again to the committee, the Seniors Advisory Committee, for your great work. I'll try to drop in to a few of your meetings as the year goes on, and hopefully sit around that table as well. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank
Now
you.
we'll leave it up to the youth.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk.
The next presentation is the 2026 Youth Advisory Committee presentation and Youth Fest.
All right, so if I could get maybe everyone to introduce themselves first before you start, would be greatly appreciated.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Vanshika, and I am a grade 12 student from Bernice McDonald High School.
Hi everyone, my name is Mercy Ashigwan and I'm a grade 11 student from Harrison Trimble High School.
Hi guys, I'm Sarah Quigley and I'm also from Bernice McNaughton High School and I'm grade 11.
Hi, I'm Sydney and I'm also in grade 12 and I go to Bernice McNaughton.
Great. Welcome. So bienvenue, and the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, Mayor Crossman and members of council. Bon après-midi, Monsieur le Maire et les membres du conseil. My name is Vanshika and I'm a grade 12 student at Bernice McDonald High School. I'm joined this evening by my fellow Youth Advisory Committee members, Sarah Quigley, Sydney Wood, and Mercy Ashikbun. More committee members would have liked to be here today, but it's a busy week filled with proms and graduations. This presentation will highlight the work of 2025-2026 Moncton Youth Advisory Committee, including activities throughout the year, new initiatives, and the results of the 21st Annual Youth Fest held at City Hall on May 5, 2026. Comme il s'agit de nouveaux conseillers municipaux, nous souhaitions également profiter de cette présentation pour vous donner une meilleure idée du rôle de notre comité, ainsi que de la manière dont les jeunes seront impliqués dans la vie civique en Moncton. The Youth Advisory Committee is more than a single event. It brings together students from Moncton's high schools to learn about local government, discuss municipal issues, and share youth perspectives with the city.
Salut, je m'appelle Sarah Quigley. Like I said, I'm a grade 11 student. La committee consultative, sorry guys, I'm not very good. La committee consultative des jeunes de Moncton est composée de 3 représentants des élèves de chacune des 5 écoles secondaires de la région, école secondaire Bernice McNaughton, l'école secondaire Harrison Trimble, école Moncton High, école Odyssey, et école Moncton Christian Academy. The committee brings together students like us, for example, with a wide range of experiences, interests, and perspectives, which helps us reflect on the realities of young people in Moncton. Although only 4 of us, am I saying the wrong one? You said that same thing. Okay. This reflects the work of the full committee. And now Sydney will speak about our meetings and presentations.
Mercy, thank you, Sarah. Hello, bonjour, my name is Sydney, like I said. I'm a grade 12 student from Bernice McNaughton. Throughout the school year, committee members attend meetings and hear presentations on a wide range of topics that affect young people and the border community. This year, the committee received presentations on many topics, including bilingual services, the Moncton Public Library, the Greater Moncton YMCA, integrated youth services, the Riverfront Master Plan, the Municipal Plan Review, Culture Moncton, community events, and visit from Minister Claire Johnson. Ces présentations nous aident à comprendre le rôle de government municipal dans la vie quotidienne. We also participated in learning scenarios related to rezoning requests that came from council in 2025. These learning scenarios gives committee members a chance to better understand how complex decisions are considered. In December 2025, committee members also enjoyed the annual intergenerational meal with the Seniors Advisory Committee, and members volunteered during community events, including the International Day of Older Persons reception. These opportunities helped us see the importance of connection across generations and gave us a chance to contribute beyond our regular meetings. Merci va maintenant vous présenter la nouvelle initiative que comme la séance.
Merci Sydney. Je m'appelle Mercy Ashigwan. Hello, my name is Mercy Ashigwan, and I'm a grade 11 student at Harrison Trimble High School. This year included several new initiatives for the Youth Advisory Committee, including a meet and greet at the North End YMCA. This informal gathering helped promote the committee and encourage youth residents to another major new initiative this year was the City of Moncton's first annual Youth Week, which was celebrated on May 1st to 8th, 2026. And the week showed that the youth engagement can happen in many ways through arts recreation, learning, and inclusive community spaces.
Some of the highlights include the high school art exhibit at City Hall featuring emerging artists from area high schools, as well as performances and activities including a string trio from the New Brunswick Youth Orchestra and a dance performance from La Jeune Troupe de Danse en Corps, a printmaking activity, and a photo booth so visitors could take home a souvenir. There was also a study night at the Moncton Public Library, laser tag events at the North End YMCA and BGC Moncton, and open gym opportunities. The week also included free transit on all Kodiak Transpo routes for youth ages 18 and under, along with $5 day passes at both YMCA locations for youth ages 12 to 18. Benshika will now speak about one of the newest tools created to support youth engagement.
Thank you, Mercy. One of the most practical outcomes this year was the launch of the City of Moncton's new youth webpage, moncton.ca/youth. This webpage connects young residents with programs, services, and opportunities. Pour les gens, l'accès de l'information est essentiel. Moncton est chanceuse pour avoir plein d'activités, de programmes et de services super pour les jeunes. Mais souvent, les jeunes ne savent pas où trouver ces informations. The webpage brings together information on recreation, events, transportation, some employment, and other city services that matter to youth. One of the strongest messages we heard this year was that communication matters. Youth want clear and visible information about what is happening in their city. La création d'une page dédiée aux jeunes constitue un premier pas important dans cette direction. Sarah va maintenant parler du Festival de la Jeunesse.
Thank you, Vanshika. Merci. L'une des principales missions du comité chaque année consiste à organiser le Festival de la Jeunesse. Cet événement a réuni environ 20 élèves de 5 écoles secondaires de la région. YouthFest is a unique opportunity for students to learn more about how local government works, participate in discussions on local issues, and share their ideas in a welcome and interactive setting. Committee members play active roles throughout the day. We help introduce and thank speakers, serve as facilitators and scribes during breakout sessions, take part in the mock town hall, and help facilitate the question and answer session with elected officials. YouthFest is built around participation. Students are asked to think, discuss, vote, debate, and reflect on the kind of city they want to live in. This year's event included interactive polling, presentations, breakout sessions in English and French, a mock election and mock town hall, a Q&A with elected officials, testimonies, and prize draws. We would also like to thank the elected officials, city staff, presenters, and members of the Seniors Advisory Committee members who helped make the day possible. And Sydney va maintenant nous parler des présentations et des activités qui ont lieu pendant le Festival de la Jeunesse.
Thank you, Sarah. Throughout the day, students took part in live polling, which gave us another way to hear directly from the participants. The full 2026 YouthFest reported will be available in both languages on the new youth webpage in the upcoming weeks. The day also includes presentations on 3 levels of government and the May 11th municipal election, Youth Week activities, community events, and the Riverfront Master Plan. Planning and communication staff also hosted an interactive booth on Riverfront Master Plan and Let's Chat. Mercy will now speak about the mock election and breakout sessions.
Merci, Sydney. Another engaging part of YouthFest was the mock elections for mayors. Each school nominated one candidate, and each candidate was given 2 minutes to answer the question, if you were elected mayor, what would you do to encourage youth to return to Moncton after their post-secondary studies? 5 candidates participated, 1 from each participating high school, and Toby Obaini from Moncton Christian Academy was elected honorary mayor for the day. Toby is also a graduating member of our committee. The afternoon also included breakout sessions with 2 groups in English and 2 in French. focused on presentations about community events and the Riverfront Master Plan. These smaller group discussions are one of the most important parts of the day because they give students a more comfortable space to speak honestly and share specific ideas. Benshika will now highlight some of the feedback we heard during those sessions.
Thank you, Mercy. Ce groupe de discussion a permis aux étudiants de parler plus en détail des types d'événements, d'espaces et d'opportunités qu'ils aimeraient voir à Moncton. Overall, participants expressed a strong interest in a wider variety of activities throughout the year, including sports, concerts, multicultural celebrations, francophone events, coffee meetups, and seasonal activities. One of the strongest messages across all groups was the need for better promotion of community events. Many students said that they were unaware of events and festivals that already exist and recommended more outreach through social media, schools, and other youth-friendly channels. Les transports est également été intermédiaire. Participating students identified limited bus service, long travel times, and difficulty getting to events without a vehicle as barriers and suggested more neighborhood-based programming and better transportation options. Students also emphasized accessibility, inclusion, affordability, and opportunities that reflect the diversity of youth in Moncton. Ce que nous retenons surtout, c'est que les gens veulent une ville dynamique, inclusive et accessible. Une ville où ils savent ce qui s'est passé, où ils peuvent le rendre facilement et où ils se sentent les bienvenus. Sir will now speak about the Mock Town Hall.
Merci, Vanshika. The Mock Town Hall gave students the opportunity to explore a real-world municipal issue in more depth. This year, the scenario involved a financial e-scooter rental company called VeloGo, which was requesting a permission to operate in Moncton. The session began with a presentation from France Levesque Ouellette, Director of Legal Services, who explained the proposal, the possible benefits, the concerns, and the type of rules that could be required if council approved such an application. After hearing the presentations and comments from the audience, committee members took on the roles of councilors and debated the issue. As Toby Obani, as the mayor, earlier in the day, she presided over the discussion. Cet exercice est très utile car il permet aux élèves de comprendre que les décisions municipales sont vraiment simples. Even when a proposal has benefits, there can also be valid concerns, and decision makers must weigh different interests carefully. Sydney va maintenant nous raconter comment l'événement s'est terminé.
Merci, Sarah. The day concluded with a question and answer session with elected officials and the Chief Administrative Officer, as well as testimonials from the graduating committee members and a prize draw. The question and answer session gave participants the opportunity to ask questions and hear responses directly from municipal decision makers. The graduating member testimonials were also a meaningful part of the day. These committee members described their time on the Youth Advisory Committee as one of the most enriching and rewarding parts of high school. They spoke about friendships, confidence, leadership, civic engagement, and the opportunity to have a voice in local decisions. They also encouraged participants to apply to serve on the committee. As one of this year's graduating members, I can say that this committee has helped many of us grow. It has given us a chance to speak up, learn how our city works, and feel that our ideas are taken seriously. Mercy will now close our presentation.
Merci, Sydney. As you can see, this year was about much more than one event. The Youth Advisory Committee spent the year learning, contributing, planning, volunteering, and finding new ways to connect youth with the city. Through committee meetings, Youth Week, outreach initiatives, and the new youth page, as well as Youth Fest, we saw how youth voices can strengthen our community. We are proud of what the committee accomplished this year, and we are grateful to city staff, community partners, elected officials, and everyone who supported the work of the committee and the success of Youth Fest. We also want to thank the students who participated in Youth Fest and shared thoughtful feedback about life in Moncton and what they hope to see going forward. Merci beaucoup de votre temps, de votre écoute et de votre appui à l'engagement des jeunes à Moncton.
Merci, and we are pleased to answer any questions you guys have.
So thank you for the presentation. Merci tout le comité. It's nice to get a year-end summary, and it seems like you have been extremely busy during the year. And one thing I can say, being a former senior advisory committee member, it was always nice to have the youth at the senior events and participate in those events as well. So I do see other questions, so just hang tight and we will get to those. Councillor Mutch.
Thank you, Your Worship. Merci pour cette excellente présentation et d'avoir livré dans de langue officielle. Before I ask my question, I just want to wish the graduating members a very happy graduation, enjoy your prom and grad, stay safe, and feel proud of all the work you've done. So on the data that you shared with the poll, I did see that people who participated, they do not know who their counselors are for a majority. And that is an issue for me and something that I would want to overcome as a counselor, that my ward residents would know who I am and how they could contact me. So as youth, what are your suggestions? I'm on social media, I'm on TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff, but what are some suggestions for counselors to be engaged with youth? Please.
I would personally say that I know that the city of Moncton has been more active on social media now than they were previously, and I believe that that has already been such an improvement, because we have like those trends that you see on social media that the city is now participating in, and it creates it as more of a fun page than like a boring page for youth to see. So if there was a video which was introducing all of the council members in that way, I find it would be more engaging for the youth, and they would definitely know who their council members are if they saw that video.
Just to piggyback off of Vanshika there, it's very true. You guys are doing a great job. We're more on social media these days. But I think a big thing is going to our schools. I feel like we haven't seen a lot of that. But in a way that's like engaging and not, because, you know, speaking as a student, it's hard to be in like an audience and just be spoken to. It's more like a conversation type, like something engaging. So that would be my piece.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Doyle.
Je voulais aussi vous remercier de faire votre présentation en anglais qui est en français, puis félicitations, vous avez super bien fait. I did also want to say you did a really great job on your presentation. You may have noticed I was typing questions and then deleting because you always answered them on the next slide. So kudos, good job. Two-part question. Mayor Toby, what was their answer around what they would do to encourage students to return home to Moncton after post-secondary? And also, we are currently working on an e-bike / e-scooter strategy. What was the outcome on that? Maybe you can help us out.
I remember.
Ellen.
Toby really, in her response, spoke about creating meaningful opportunity in Moncton so that people don't have to leave in the first place, to leave Moncton for their secondary or post-secondary education. So that was really the kind of meat of her presentation, I would say. And then what was the second question?
The Velo Go.
Oh, well, because Toby became mayor,
yes.
There might have been another person there had she not become mayor. Okay. So there was a tie, because we had 10. So the vote did not pass, unfortunately. So, but we did poll the room, and the room overwhelmingly felt that it should be approved. So.
Okay. For young people as well. That's one of the things. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone. You did a really great job.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor LeBlanc.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the youth on the committee. I have a particular question, I guess, for Mercy. I saw you in one of the pictures. It seemed like you had a seat in chamber. Can you recollect which seat that was?
I think it's the seat that Councillor Doyle is sitting on right now.
Oh,
or
okay,
maybe Mutch. I'm not sure. It's one of those two seats.
Well,
maybe rock, paper, scissors.
on that note, I don't want for you necessarily to be going after their seat, but maybe you can participate in our next elections, and perhaps one day Councillor Asha Gobon. And I think that's one of the benefits of having these mock trials and getting the youth involved in our process of democracy from high school age. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Richard.
Thank you, Mayor Crossman. Merci beaucoup pour votre présentation. Merci pour votre français. Moi, j'appuierais que vous continuez, s'il vous plaît, comme vous avez déjà entendu. One thing that I think I understood, I might need some clarification. So were we invited to schools? Did you just invite us to schools next year, or?
Councillor Richard, I can answer that one quickly.
No, I'm asking her.
I don't want to put the highlight on the youth, but that is something that we are currently have in the plan, and that will come before council shortly. Yep, for more engagement within the schools.
Okay, thank you. Oh,
But it is an invite as well.
awesome. Thank you very much. Let's see.
Thank you, Councillor. Not seeing any other questions from council. Thank you once again. Merci à tous, and we look forward to seeing the presentation next year and maybe throughout the year as updates go along with the Youth Committee. So thank you again. Madam City Clerk?
Thank you, merci.
Pas de problème. Le prochain item, c'est une mise à jour de la GRC. Benoît Jolet, surintendant du service régional de Kodiak de la GRC, est ici pour nous donner sa mise à jour.
Good evening, Superintendent. Bienvenue.
Bonjour. Good afternoon, everybody. So first of all, I'd like to thank all the counselors who either left their positions, did not reoffer, for they continue to work with the RCMP over the years, but also to this group to congratulate you, Mayor Crossman, and all the re-elected counselors and new counselors that are here today. So myself and the rest of Kodiak RCMP look forward to continue to work with the City of Moncton with this new team, mainly to make Moncton an even better place than it already is. So I submitted a fairly large report. Obviously, I'm not going to go through everything, but I'm available for any kind of clarifying questions. But there are some points that I'd like to raise while I'm at the mic. So first of all, thanks for those that were able to attend the ceremony on June 4th. It's unbelievable that it's already been 12 years since those tragic events that crippled our city and our region. It was really nice to see a lot of community members and some of the elected officials that were able to attend. So regarding community policing, we wrapped up our 2-month pilot project, downtown visibility project. There's I'll just read one testimonial here. It's regarding one of the local businesses. So this was the Capitol Theatre. It's from the managing director of the Capitol Theatre, who sent us a message on the 11th of May, stating, on behalf of the Capitol Theatre, I wanted to take a moment to express our appreciation for the RCMP Downtown Foot Patrol pilot project currently in place in Moncton. During the recent performances at our venue, 2 officers stopped by to check in with their team and ensure everything was going smoothly. This presence was noticed and genuinely appreciated by everybody, reassuring our both staff and patrons to see the proactive engagement and visible support in the downtown core. Initiatives like this help create a stronger sense of safety and connection within the community, especially during events and high traffic periods. Based on our experience so far, we believe this project is a positive addition to the downtown environment and would support continued funding and expansion beyond the pilot project. Please extend our thanks to the officers involved. So I do have some stats regarding those 2 months. Again, just as a reminder to the new council members here, this was a 2-month pilot project that was fully funded by the City of Moncton for a dedicated presence 24 hours a day in the specific downtown corridor. That included the downtown business improvement area, so Main Street, St. George, and other areas, pretty much everything that's around City Hall within about 5 or 6 blocks. So there was 4 key performance indicators that we measured during this project. The first is maximize foot, bicycle, and vehicle patrols, weather permitting. And obviously that was completed as we had 2 members 24 hours a day in that area. The second was engagement, where officers would complete at least 5 interactions with businesses per shift and gather real-time intelligence and strengthen community relationships. So there was a total of 790 contacts that were made during those two months. So it's an average of 7 contacts per shift that were done by our members. The next KPI was regarding enforcement, so prioritization enforcement of quality of life, including public intoxication, loitering, trespassing, vandalism, and open-air drug use. So regarding those stats, it was interesting to see because obviously if there's more police in a specific geographical area, as I've mentioned in the past, it'll give more stats, which will sort of like skew the stats because it's like there's more crime because there's more enforcement. So there was a total 25% more occurrences in that downtown area, which is normal because there's more visible enforcement and there's more people out there specifically in that targeted area. If we look at traffic enforcement, there was a 112% increase. If we use the same time period from the previous year, from 2025, there was 49 traffic tickets given in a 2-month period in that zone. But this year in this project, there's 104. Think of drug possession charges. In the previous year, there was 2, 700% increase to 16 in this 2-month period. And if we look at property crime, there's a decrease of 19% over from 2025 to 26, and crimes against person, a decrease of 31%. And again, these are numbers ranging from 48 to 33 and 72 to 58. And the final KPI was collaboration and cooperation with community policing and our bylaw enforcement to maintain coordinated approach. And we've been doing this, Mayor and Council, for several years, and it just keeps, relationship keeps getting better. So obviously, like I've mentioned before, when you give police officers an unfettered availability to do one specific task, whether it be drug enforcement, community policing, traffic enforcement, the results are automatic. What the problem is it's like in any other business, when people stack things on the side of their desk, you can only sporadically deal with one specific issue. That's what we do on a regular basis, whether it's community policing, violent crimes, domestic violence, traffic enforcement, or drug work. Next, the other item that I'd like to speak about is, I'll bring you back to June 2nd. So this is an investigation that started back in January, and it started off as a tip regarding stolen property at a residence on Ronald Street. And on June 2nd in the early mornings, we had over 60 members from various departments and employees that executed a search warrant on a property on Ronald Avenue. And this included every acronym that the RCMP has, including our emergency response team, but also Moncton Fire Department, SPCA, NB Power, Department of Environment, and a auto thefts specialist. So when we did conduct the search warrant there, it was a vast area with a tremendous amount of vehicles. We checked a total of 536 vehicles on site. In those 536, 26 were stolen vehicles, 13 firearms were seized, and including 4 prohibited weapons, and approximately 1 kilogram of what's believed to be cocaine and Canadian currency. 55-year-old man was arrested on scene, and later that day, Kevin Trites appeared in Moncton Provincial Court and was charged with 4 counts of possession of property obtained by crime and remanded into custody. So in the days that followed, an additional 38 charges were laid, and these are regarding drug charges, possession of stolen property, and various other weapons charges. He was remanded into custody, as mentioned, and so this file is most likely going to be one of the largest seizures that we've seen up to date. It was a lot of good coordinated work by our property crime team, and it was really in speaking to the lead investigator, one of our constables who started with us in January, who had transferred here from Nova Scotia, she said, it's really cool working at Kodiak RCMP because it's cool seeing everybody get together, work together, and get this done. And she goes, I didn't even think that this was possible. So it was really nice seeing that coordination and the positives sides of it, but it was a lot of work. Next, I'm going to jump all the way to two incidents regarding our patrol team. One specifically on May 2nd, where our members who are working on the downtown visibility project were dealing with an unrelated file and came upon a building on John Street that was engulfed in flames. So 3 of our members were there, and they immediately rushed in and entered the residence, disregarding their own safety and helping several people be evacuated from the residence, including some pets. Despite getting bitten by one of those pets, our members were okay and were treated for minor smoke inhalation, but no one was hurt. On another similar incident on June 3rd, this incident in Dieppe, one of our members who had just finished a 14-hour shift was on his way home and lived nearby, and all of a sudden saw a house on fire. And I saw the video. It was pretty impressive from a doorbell camera. Our member had just a t-shirt on and his blue pants with his yellow stripe and ran from across the street into the home and fearing and getting information that there'd be children inside. And I saw him take the 3-year-old child out of the house, bring the child across the street, delivered to some family, and then went back in the house and cleared the entire residence while the ceiling and roof were imploding into the second story, and then went next door because it was semi-detached duplex to ensure that nobody else was there. Dieppe Fire and the rest of the members that were called arrived shortly after, but thanks to Constable Maillet Sainte-Marie and his heroic actions, he saved somebody's life that day. So he will be recognized at a later date. Speaking of recognition, while I'm at the mic, Mr. Mayor, on May 28th, we were called to a robbery on Mountain Road. When our members got to the scene, they found 2 females restraining a male suspect on the ground. We later learned that these were 2 off-duty police officers from the Miramichi Police Force who had stopped an armed robbery in process at the business on Mountain Road. I'm actually going to Miramichi Wednesday and Thursday this week to deliver training to that police force, and I'll be recognizing those 2 members at that time and sharing our thanks. Finally, the Tactical Traffic Enforcement Unit was, since I last reported to Council, they were in our area on May 23rd and 24th, 2-day blitz. A total of 219 traffic tickets were issued, 27 vehicles were towed, and various other charges were issued. I've indicated our current staffing update as of today, and I can answer any questions relating to that. But the final message is the young ladies were at the podium here just recently. What I'd like to say is to all grads, congratulations, but enjoy your proms, enjoy your parties, but please make a plan, have a plan. Not only for our young people, but also for the parents and the family members. We want to make sure everyone gets home after their celebrations. Thank you, Mayor Crossman.
Thank you, Superintendent. Councillor Richard.
Thank you, Mayor Crossman. Thank you for your report, Superintendent. Thank you to all the members that are out there keeping the streets safe for our public. You've heard, of course, of the recent amount of overdoses happening. Is there anything positive that you can share? What's happening? If there's anything happening in the background that.
Yeah, the only thing I can share is that it's a health issue, and it's bordering on a crisis because, like we all know, for anybody that's resided in our area here, the Greater Moncton area, New Brunswick, all of Canada, the planet au complet, has issues with addictions, mental health and addictions, and obviously these aren't crimes. Possessing certain drugs is a crime. So we're going to keep working with everybody that we can, with our partners, visibility, do everything we can. There is various messaging that's coming out because the health authorities have analyzed some of this stuff, and there's some weird things that are in the drugs. But like, I'll be honest, and I think we have to realize this: it's all bad. All these drugs are bad. The individuals who are consuming them, they are addicted. They need help. It's not by enforcement. We're not going to enforce our way out of addictions. The only thing that we can do is point people in the right direction. We need to stop the negative activity and the negative behavior, like I've mentioned to council in the past. It's the open air drug use in the public, in front of schools, in front of parks. There's no business for individuals doing that. However, like an addict once told me, it's like, well, where do I go? I don't have the solution for that. So we're just a partner in that bigger solution. So we're ready to work with whatever agency in partnership that we can work.
As you mentioned, the open air drugs, we've talked about that lots here at council. Are your members finding some? Are we?
Oh, absolutely.
Finding some, and we're retrieving it, and we're.
Yeah, every time our members are out there, whether they're in uniform or in plain clothes, they started off, as I remember speaking to council 2 years ago. It was sporadic. It's in a regular patrolling calendar of specifically our crime reduction unit, where they regularly go out doing this stuff. And there's minor drug seizures, like personal use, all the time. But I didn't read out all the successes and the drug seizures that was in my report. But our team has been out there doing a lot of these seizures and a lot of search warrants, and even just on traffic stops, seizing a lot of drugs. So it's no matter how much you seize, there will always be more. So like I said, similar to the message for grads, it's a responsibility for everybody, for parents, family members, and people that care about one another, that we all got to educate. We just have to educate our families and our loved ones regarding this. So.
Yeah, and I thank you for that. I had read there was pieces of fentanyl and meth in your report. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about it. Merci.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Kouroukian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Superintendent Jolette, for your report. I wanted to just make a comment and ask a question about traffic stops. First of all, I wanted to thank you for doing a traffic blitz. I think it's really important, and sometimes people in our communities discount the importance of traffic stops and traffic blitzes, and I think you just mentioned this actually in your comments to Councillor Richard, that in fact that's often when you're able to seize drugs is when you stop a car in which someone is possessing them, right? So I guess my question on that would be, how often are we able to do such blitzes? And when, don't tell us when the next one might be, because we wouldn't want to publicize that, but I would encourage to be done as often as possible. Quite frankly, this is a way to keep our kids safe from drivers who are under the influence, from drivers who can kill. Secondly, and on a similar vein, because there's so much success with this downtown pilot project, and again, this was 2 months, I'm wondering what the next steps would be. So if you wouldn't mind giving me next steps for traffic enforcement and next steps for more of this downtown patrol. Thank you.
Well, so thank you, Councillor Kouroukian. So both are sort of interrelated, because if you think of traffic enforcement, the blitz that I mentioned, that's the provincial traffic team that Kodiak RCMP does not pay into. It's a courtesy, I guess, that and I looked into that because I wasn't sure, but we don't. Through the CRPA budget, it's not paid into. However, they still come sporadically, and it's very sporadic. The last time they had come was October. So it's a 2-day blitz where we had 4 members, I believe, this time, 219 tickets. Our members at Kodiak are regularly doing traffic enforcement, but it's not an every day, every hour of every day type of thing. So we still give roughly 200 to 300 traffic tickets per month. But if we'd have a dedicated team to be able to do that, it'd be every day and it'd be astronomical. So we just did a 1-month traffic study where we isolated 2 members on traffic enforcement. I'll have that at next council. We were still tabulating that information. But we already saw really good results in that. So it's a complicated question because if there be dedicated people that it could be assigned to that, it'd be done every day. Unfortunately, now it's not the case, but people are still doing it between calls. So then, if I think about your next question regarding the downtown initiative, this was 100% led by this council and provided us with parameters and funding. And we met and we had discussions on how we think it could be done better. It's something that can be built in. We're getting to budget season later on. It's something that can be built in into budgets to have sort of special projects type of funding. I'll use the YQM example again. YQM and the city of Dieppe, every year it's completely isolated from our regular budget. They organize with us and with the promoters and decide on a price and decide on a service because there's a big difference between level of service and level of cost. So that's really important too to understand expectations. But again, I think this is year 6 that we're doing that. So this is available to council, but to reassure you, Councillor Kavoukian and the rest of the council is every shift, whether it's day, night, week, or weekend, when our members are not going from call to call, they're doing traffic enforcement. That's priority 1 is answering 911s. Priority 2 is being out there visible and doing traffic enforcement. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Inspector Jalil, for being here and giving us a thorough, I think, detailed report and summary for the new council. First, I wanted to thank you and your team for your leadership on the June 4th ceremonies. I think a lot of people think that's a city Moncton-led initiative when I know, in fact, your department takes the lead on that, and a number of our councillors were there as participants, maybe not participants, but as attendees. But you really do a great job, and we thank you for that, and your team for putting that together. I was given, as well as was just asked, I wanted to ask about the downtown pilot project. And I think we all agree that even though the numbers were up, obviously the results were obvious in your report that you give. So hopefully we can find a way to figure out how to move that one forward. Speaking of that, though, this summer, will there be bike patrols in the downtown area? We've seen that in other years. I'm sure you got the bikes still in storage somewhere. Is that a plan to have them back on the streets?
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes similar to what I just referenced. When resources permit, our supervisors know that they have to deploy in various ways because you can't just be out with a police car all the time. You got to go on foot. You got to go on the bikes. Our community policing team is going to be leading a lot of that. And if I'm not mistaken, they're filming some sort of bike safety type of videos in partnership with the city currently. I don't know if it was done. Our media relations officer, Corporal Pical, was talking to me about that the other day. But yes, we will see the bikes. And remember that a police officer on a mountain bike is the same as a police officer in a police vehicle. Therefore, you must stop if you're hailed to stop. We don't have lights and sirens. We have other tools.
Sounds like a plan, especially on our riverfront. I think we've got a great trail system there that attracts a lot of visitors and tourists in the summertime, but we want to make sure it is safe 24/7. And I know there's a lot of activity going on in that area with the trees and the places to hide, etc. So you've got to be on foot, as you say, or on bike to witness it or to find it. We talked briefly about the drug situation, and we've heard about the overdose situation that's out of control. That your team have had to deal with, unfortunately, and much like our fire department as well. I'm just curious, and we've heard some reports that this is something sort of localized to Moncton. Have you found any other jurisdictions that are seeing a similar type of tainted drugs, we'll say? I've heard that St. John and Fredericton aren't experiencing the same thing. Is there other places in the Maritimes, or is it really isolated to our city?
Yeah, so two things there. First of all, you brought a good point there, Councillor Turner. So I'd like to acknowledge Chief Landry in the fire department here and our medics in the area, because that's what we have to understand is an overdose is a medical call. We don't go to all of them. The paramedics and the firefighters go to every single one of these calls, and there is a lot. We go when there's a risk when there's violence or if there's actually drugs observed. So it's a huge partnership. So if we talk about if it's happening everywhere else, I don't have that information. My assumption would be sky's the limits of where it's happening. All I know is that here, it goes. It's like ebbs and flows. Like I said before, the drugs of choice right now in our area is still crystal methamphetamine, cocaine, and fentanyl, and these are all very dangerous, powerful, and potent drugs. However, recently there's been traces of other stuff that's not supposed to be in there. Not to say that there's a magical recipe for these drugs, but some really bad stuff that prevents some of the counter agents. So we've seen this before. So that's why it's extra important to speak to your loved ones about the dangers of this.
Thank you. I know, onto another subject, just quickly mention also about the province of Brunswick having their enforcement team here to help on the motor vehicle issues that came to light just recently. But I think a lot of times people don't realize when you hand out motor vehicle tickets, basically the monies from that go to the province of New Brunswick. They do not stay with the city of Moncton. That's my understanding of the situation.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think a lot of times people think that's revenue generating for the city or the municipality, when in fact it is for the province. So I think even though they're helping you out, I think they're also the benefits are going back to them a lot of times monetarily wise. The last question, real quick: when's moving date?
That's good. So the boxes arrive on next Monday, the 22nd, and we've already started to move various things. By the end of July, we'll be fully in the new building. It's exciting. It's really exciting. Just we've started giving tours to our employees, and I believe your tours are next week. So looking forward to that as well too. It's for those that have been in the 520 main compared to what 199 Albert is going to bring. You can just imagine the esprit de corps, the morale, the looking forward to go work in such a fantastic facility. So it's pretty cool that that the city and all the partners that were part of the project were able to do this, because we know it's a long time coming, but we're really excited to get in there.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Doyle.
Hi, I wanted to thank you and the folks who went above and beyond, especially jumping into fires and things like that. That is some movie stuff, and you should be very proud. I have a question around drug use. Often when we talk about the relationship with the municipalities and the RCMP, we talk about the RCMP in terms of in the pro column of having more robust resources around large scale issues. So things that are happening across the country, like illegal drug use, seizures, things like that. And so you've touched a little bit on kind of what I would call smaller scale drug use, open air, downtown, somebody using in front of a business, or small scale pickups from a traffic stop. I'm wondering in terms of larger scale. So can you explain a little bit how it works for the RCMP to be looking into where is the supply coming from, the big supply, because it gets parceled out, right, and then sold at a small scale. How do you look into that? What does that look like? And is there any way to maybe incorporate some of that into your future reporting? I'd love to see kind of the bigger picture of drug use in the city and where it's coming from.
Yeah, so so there are multiple levels, and there's multiple responsibilities of who does what. Obviously, our members at Kodiak RCMP, whether you're in uniform or you're in plain clothes, so either patrol members or community policing members or crime reduction units, they're always out there looking for that, to get as much off the street. Our patrol members are the ones that are doing the traffic stops, doing the interactions, and stopping the open air drug enforcement. But our investigators are the ones looking for the suppliers, the dealers, and Kodiak RCMP's done investigations leading across New Brunswick and even into Nova Scotia and into other provinces. Just in the fall, we partnered with the Toronto Police Service in a drug importation file where they were bringing things into the Greater Moncton area with a link to Toronto. So
Okay.
We have to lean on our partners, obviously, because we can't do this by ourselves. Our responsibility is for Moncton, Dieppe, and Riverview, but a lot of this stuff is coming from elsewhere. So earlier this year, for example, there was a drug file that happened in Dieppe where the individuals had come here from British Columbia that were linked to organized crime. And in speaking to them, they told us that they came to Moncton to sell drugs because of the enforcement that they had faced. So our goal is to enforce the bad people that are doing this, that are preying on the most vulnerable, so that they can stay away. They can either go somewhere else or say, no, it's not worth it. So that's the main goal of our priority offender unit in our crime reduction team. They target the people that target the most vulnerable here. So whether it's people on warrants, people that are dealing drugs or importing drugs. So anytime that I can have any kind of results regarding that, I will absolutely report it to council.
Thanks so much. That's what I was kind of getting at. The folks that we see here in Moncton are kind of victims of a bigger system, right? Of folks bringing in drugs that are causing what we're seeing in terms of drug poisoning. So thank you for that. Any additional info ever, because that's how we kind of, you want to stop it at the bottom, you got to get to the top. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Mutch.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Superintendent Gillette, for the great presentation. Reading through the report is incredible, all the work that your team does. There's a lot going on. My question actually relates to mental health. So I actually met with the Moncton Firefighters Association a few weeks ago to talk to them about what they do and their mental health. You obviously sign up for a certain job, but what's been happening recently is insane, the amount of calls you're receiving and whatnot. And I know last week when we toured the Botsford Station, Chief Landry talked about an app they use that was commissioned by the RCMP, University of Regina. So for your team, what are you doing to prevent burnout and help with their mental health? Because I'm looking at the numbers of those off sick. I don't know why they're off sick, but if we continue this trend, there could be more off because of mental health issues. So what is your team doing to ensure that we're preventing burnout?
Yeah, no, thanks for the question. When we see somebody in uniform, whether it's the police officer, firefighter, paramedic, or anybody that, or bylaw officer, anybody that wears a uniform, we forget that there's a person inside, and we assume that we're robots and we get plugged in every night and we're ready to go the next day. But that's far from the truth. Is first responders work 24 hours a day and respond to 95% of what regular residents don't see. So there's a lot of things that can be complicated and a lot of trauma. What we do for our people specifically is acknowledge work, obviously acknowledge excellence. We're right in the middle of our employee recognition events right now that I've reported to Moncton Council in the past. Just a simple barbecue for people to have a little 15-minute break to have a burger and a hot dog in the back parking lot and say thanks for everything that you do. We hold regular debriefs after. We usually use after major incidents, whether it was a traumatic car crash with a gory fatality. We do it with a lot more now because it's not always that huge car crash with a fatality that might affect somebody. It can be the smaller stuff as well too. We lean a lot on our supervisors to have regular check-ins, and it's not only the people that, let's just say, that are speaking the loudest, it's those people that are in the briefing room that don't say anything. Those are the ones that we have to keep an eye on. It's just making sure that we talk to our people and ensure that they get the time that they need. But look, policing is complicated, and even this summer, with everything that's going on with FIFA 2026, there was restrictions on our leave, so most of our members could not take vacation during the summertime because of that, and had all these major events. But we find time for our people to make sure that they can be off and do everything that we can. But there's always more that we can do to take care of our people, because my job is to make sure that the number you referenced on the last page of my report, it gets close to zero as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Superintendent. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Good seeing you again, and I don't see any other questions from council, so
Thank you. Congratulations again to everybody. Have a good rest of your meeting.
great, thank you. Madam City Clerk.
Next would be planning matters at Question d'Urbanisme, and the first one this evening is Sterling Meadows Unit 4 subdivision, tentative subdivision agreement. I see Paul Edgar making his way to the podium.
Welcome, Paul.
Good evening, folks.
When you're ready, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. Administration has received a application from PFM Development on behalf of Cormier Custom Homes, Inc. To create Unit 4 Sterling Meadows subdivision. The subject property is located in Ward 1. As can be seen in the area highlighted in red, it's on the northeast side of McIntosh Boulevard between Maccoon Street and Cadieux Street, just in the Shediac Road area. The zoning of the property is R2, and it's located within the urban boundary. The purpose of the tentative subdivision plan is to create 30 new residential lots, land for public purposes, and the following street right-of-ways: Maccoon, Cadieux, Gaudin, and Opera. 5-meter wide public utility easements will be created as well along all the proposed streets. And as well, there's a proposed parcel 26A, which will be created to be transferred to PID 706-81275, which in turn will be incorporated into lot 26,000 for stormwater detention basin. As mentioned previously, the plan creates 30 large lots and that will support the 4 units of the right housing, and a good type of street network with the extension of Maccoon, Cadieux, and Gaudin Streets, and the creation of new Opera Street. Maccoon Street will be built to a urban local primary street classification that will have sidewalk on one side and a multi-purpose trail on the other. Gaudin, Cadieux, and Opera Street will all be built to a urban local minor street classification with sidewalk on one side. The developer was requested by the Department of Environment and Local Government to undertake a wetland delineation for the property. The outcome of that delineation, shown in gray here, indicated that approximately 1.39 hectares of wetland were identified on the property. The proposed subdivision will impact approximately 68 square meters of a small wetland area located on the subject property. It's the area circled in red on the plan. Although the affected portion is relatively small, it forms a larger part of the contiguous wetland area and exceeding 1 hectare in size. As a result, the developer was required to obtain a watercourse and wetland alteration permit from the Department of Environment and Local Government. Through the permitting process, the department approved the infilling of the wetland area on the condition that the developer go through compensation process for the loss of wetland. Once the compensation project was submitted to and approved by the department, the applicant was issued a watercourse and wetland alteration permit. Wetland compensation is required at a 2-to-1 ratio. In practical terms, this means that every square meter of wetland that's been impacted, the developer must enhance, restore, or create 2 square meters of wetland habitat elsewhere. To meet this requirement, the developer has entered in a financial compensation agreement with Ducks Unlimited. Ducks Unlimited will identify the compensation site, design the project, obtain the necessary approvals from the department, and then carry out the construction of the compensation works. Land for public purposes. The requirements for land for public purposes have been exceeded with the registration of the first phase of development of Sterling Meadows subdivision. That's when the McIntosh Street section was actually brought in back at registration. As you can see on the small image, all of that area in green accounts for approximately 35 hectares of LFPP area. It's about 1.76 more than the required 10% as per the Community Planning Act. The developer is proposing to incorporate 294 square meters of that LFPP, which is shown in red on the plan, into the subject lands in order to create a lot sufficient size to accommodate the required stormwater detention pond. Lot 26, 3,000 shown in yellow. This will allow for the construction of the pond to be adjacent to the water course over to the left-hand side in the green area. The developer, in turn, will donate 1,022 square meters of land for LFPP, the area in blue, and that will be used for both pond and trail access, and the developer will be constructing that access for us. Overall, upon registration, the city will realize a net gain of 728 square meters of LFP in this area alone. It should be noted that upon registration of the subdivision itself, the stormwater detention ponds for lot 26-3000 will be turned over to the city and to be managed by the city. In addition, staff from planning and development, parks and engineering worked with the developer to identify an appropriate location for additional land for public purposes to support a future trail through the center of the site. As a result, the developer is proposing to convey an additional 552 square meters of land shown in the blue area. This brings the total amount of LFPP conveyed for the Sterling Meadows site to approximately 36.6 hectares, 4.67% above the required 10% as per the Community Planning Act. Recommendations, the Planning Advisory Committee recommends that Moncton City Council assent to the extension of Maccoon Street as a public street, assent to the extension of Cadju Street, assent to the extension of Godin Street, and assent to the creation of Opera Street, and assent to the transfer of parcel 26A to PID 70681275, as well as assent to the location of land for public purposes, and assent to the location of lot 26-3000 for stormwater detention purposes. Subject to the following condition, that street and services be designed and acceptable to the engineering department and constructed in accordance with the subject development procedure standards and guidelines. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. So, Council, we do have a motion on the table at this point. I would normally look to the ward councillors to support the motion. So, moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Councillor Guedet. Okay. Any questions on? Sorry. Yep. So, Councillor Doyle.
Just a small question to help me better understand. So the piece around the wetland, where they have to basically reproduce some sort of wetland at a 2-to-1 ratio somewhere else.
Yes.
I read in the report that it ideally has to be very close to the site, but if they can't find somewhere close to the site, they start expanding the bubble. Correct. And in theory, it could be anywhere in the province. Is there any way at all for us to ensure that it remains obviously very close to the site, and if not, minimally in Moncton?
So it is a provincial run permit system. We do have meetings coming up with the Department of Environment because this one honestly is not located in Moncton at all, and we were not happy with that. So we've asked for meetings with them to be involved in their selection sites and to have at least some kind of say in it. They understand that. One of the things with the site that was selected, there's 20 other sites around the province that are all going towards this one for compensation. So it's going to create an even larger than just the small portion that we're creating from here.
Right. It seems a little bit like it doesn't really offset it in the way that locally we would want it to. Okay.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's the way it works when they work it out. So through the guideline rules.
Understood. Thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor LeBlanc.
Thank you for the presentation. During some consultations with citizens in Ward 1, a concern that was raised to me was in that area was that development is going on, but for example, street lights remains a concern for certain aspects of safety in the nighttime for some of the people that live in that area. Is there something happening on that front to make sure that the street lights, for example, are honored or timely, or perhaps they've been done since my conversation with the citizen?
Yeah. So prior to my being with the planning department, I worked in the engineering department for 22, 23 years, and that was part of my responsibility with street lights. So I know the process quite well. Generally at the underground provincial or inspection stage, you go out and do your inspection. If there's poles installed, we will send at that point a request off to NB Power to get street lights installed. If it's not, we rely on the developer to notify us when those poles have gone up. So our staff can then go back out, detail the poles, pole numbers, to get that off to NB Power so they can get the streetlights installed. It becomes a bigger issue around October 31st, of course, but we really rely on the developers to help us out with that when we're trying to get it going. So if there are specific areas, please let us know, and we'll get out there for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Legier.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Paul. Not a specific question to this development, but something nearby. obviously within our urban growth boundary, it's starting to infill, and this part of town especially. Not so far away, there's an industrial park development, and then not so far away from that is a much larger one in Dieppe. What considerations, of any, or foresight is given to possible conflicts with residential being in close proximity to industrial developments?
My understanding with most of the industrial development there, it's not the high intensity developments, so it's more the, the shops, not shops, but the distribution centers. So it's not as big a conflict. Yes, there'll be traffic and stuff created from it, but the road through our charge areas are going to be rebuilt in a few years.
And in terms of sound and things like that, that may become perhaps a problem at a later date?
We've heard nothing, heard nothing yet coming across, but there's nothing in my mind right now. It's been zoned previously by the previous council, the industrial park across the way. And this has always been zoned as of right, so nothing, sorry.
No, that's okay. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, Councillor. I will put a request in through the CAO that he shares those plans that we see off of Harrisville Boulevard with council, because it was determined under the last council, so that would be good background for you to understand. Yes. Thank you again, Councillor. Councillor Turner. Oh, hold on. There we go.
Thank you, Your Worship. Appreciate that. Just more of information for myself, probably, but just understanding the chart here. The plot plan you've given us has a couple of circles, basically a dead-end streets or dead-end course with a circle. And I gather that's a turnaround or snow removal, etc. But is there a plan eventually to extend those streets, because they're awfully close to the wetland? I'm just wondering, could that be a future project that could be in the future of development of this area?
Yes, it could.
This is where it is for today, but they'd have to come back to us. So if this doesn't open up the wetland area any more than it is today.
Yeah, and that wetland in there is part of that 1.39 hectares that the province has identified that's going to be compensated for.
Yeah.
But yes, those roads, we always like to leave our road connections to other areas, so that they can extend in the future, and it will have to come back through the Planning Advisory Committee and through you folks.
I just want to make sure we're clear on that. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Kavukian.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick question about sidewalks. I noted that within this subdivision, there are going to be, in fact, I don't think there's any any street in here that has sidewalks on both sides. There's some with sidewalks on one side, some with a sidewalk on one side and a multi-purpose trail on the other. Would you explain to me what the rationale would be behind not putting sidewalks on both sides? Thanks.
I'll let Renee take this one.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Councillor. We do have what is called a subdivision guideline. So it's essentially a norm or standard that is used by developers when you come into the city. They know the expectation of what a local street is, of what a collector street is, of what an arterial street is. For instance, if you're building a collector street, we will require a sidewalk on both sides. On a local street, we will require a sidewalk on one side or on both sides if warranted. So if we feel it's warranted on both sides, the city will actually pay the cost for the second sidewalk on a local street. Situations where there could be a daycare, there could be a school nearby. So it's really boiling down to our standards. So in the situation here where we have a multi-purpose trail on one side and sidewalk on the other, the city is actually fronting the cost of one of those two infrastructures because it's above and beyond what is asked for in our standards.
Okay, thanks. I suppose I worry that what we're creating there is a car community, right? I mean, because we've seen, for example, that it's a good ways from any local bus service, and obviously it will take us quite some time to extend that bus service in that general direction, right? And then if there's a lack of sidewalks on both sides of the street, I wonder, for example, when there are young children, when there are seniors, when there are families, if we're essentially creating a community of crescents and curved streets that don't really lead anywhere, where you actually can't walk to anything. So I suppose my concern would be, I understand we have a classification system, but is that classification system really working in the best interests of Monctonians?
Yeah, it's a fair consideration. I think a few things to consider is if we're building sidewalk, we got to think about the long-term cost of maintenance and operation. During the winter months, obviously, we were looking at clearing sidewalks. Not all of our sidewalks are cleared during the winter. And so what we aim to do is try to have sidewalks cleared on one side, at least. Another thing to consider is that from an engineering and transportation or active transportation point of view, for this particular area, we are more concerned of the link between this isolated community and the rest of Shediac Road and the sidewalk, because there are no sidewalks on Shediac Road between Harrisville and the community itself. And that is something that is planned in the future. It's development driven. We are actually looking at a charge area. As the area develops, we're acquiring financial contribution from various developers. And when they will come, we will have to put sidewalks, which means a big project where we're widening the street and all of that. So from our sense, I guess providing sidewalk at least on one side on a local street has been deemed safe and a standard that's been used for a long time in Moncton. And some of the concepts that or some of the concerns we've received in the past when there's no sidewalk on the street and people ask for a sidewalk, it's usually, I'd like a sidewalk on my street, but can you put it on the other side? Just because it does impact driveways, lawns, front lawns and whatnot. So just sharing that from our experience.
Thank you. I suppose that would suggest to me all the more reason to put them in at the beginning rather than ask forgiveness later. But okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Councillor Renee. Thank you for that comment. Even knowing that the City of Moncton could have the right-of-way as well, right off of the road for that sidewalk. Right. That it's just assumed that when somebody buys the home, they own right up to the curb, but sometimes we do have a right-of-way as well at that time. So, good, thank you. Thank you both for the presentation. I don't see any other questions from council. This should be an electronic vote as I say that. Yep, okay, so there, the voting is up now. So I ask council to please vote.
Can we take the presentation down?
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, council. Madam City Clerk.
The next item is the public hearing policy, and Josh Adams is here to provide the presentation as well as France Levesque-Ouellette.
Josh, welcome.
Thank you very much.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. And I get to the stage and everybody leaves the room, so that's a good sign for me.
That could be a sign.
Just waiting for the presentation to load up here.
It's funny how public hearings do that.
Yeah.
Usually they work the other way around.
Yeah. I'm about the only one running to the podium during public
Right.
hearings, so.
Having a bit of technical issues. Bear with us.
Look at that. Brilliant green here. Lovely. So I'm here tonight to talk to you all about public hearings. Before we dive into the policy and some of the changes, for those of you that are new to council, I know you probably got just bombarded with information last week. So in case you don't know or forget, it's totally fine. A public hearing is essentially just a meeting at council on Monday nights where members of the public are invited to come and present objections, questions, support, whatever it is that they might be, their thoughts and opinions on a specific change. This is a process that's legislated by the province, so it's a requirement in the Community Planning Act and potentially in some other acts as well that you need to have the public hearing before you proceed with making a change and a decision on whatever change it is that you're doing. So I would say probably 90 to 95% of the public hearings you're going to be doing are for planning applications. That's why I'm here. So those are going to be typically your rezonings, a development that a developer that wants to do something that's not permitted in the rules today. They look for a rezoning. You're going to follow a process that includes a public hearing. You're going to hear comments from the public before making a final decision on that application. So today, the public hearing, which is legislatively required by the province, the acts have a lot of information about what notices need to contain for public hearings, but they're kind of silent about what happens actually at the actual hearing itself. And so that's where this policy has been developed, just to provide a little bit more transparency, a little bit more guidance for council, developers, members of the public, and staff, as well as to what actually happens when we're in a public hearing. So this policy would be replacing Schedule A of the procedural bylaw. So that's a bylaw that you'll be voting on tonight for the second and third readings. Schedule A does currently contain a high-level process for public hearings. With the new bylaw, that schedule will be removed and the public hearing process will be moved to a standalone policy. So that's a change that if you're going to proceed with the procedural bylaw tonight, you would also be proceeding with this new policy for public hearings. So again, there's nothing really changing in this policy about how we conduct public hearings. This is just reflecting, the process that we do as we get into these types of meetings. So what is staying the same in the policy? It's basically everything. Again, it's just a lot more detailed in terms of what we actually do and the roles of the different parties as they go through the process. So this includes, the deadlines for written submissions, when they'd be presented to council, as well as at the meeting itself, when are folks allowed to speak, how much time are they allotted, who's allowed to speak and when. So this is the same process that we've been following for many years now, but again, just spelled out clearly in a policy so that we can point to it when people ask, well, why did this happen? Why did that happen? Here's the policy and here are the rules that we are following. So why a policy as opposed to a bylaw? Again, the answer is very simple. We're looking to update the procedural bylaw. This will be removed, and as a policy, changes can be made a lot more effectively. So by council, a policy can be changed with just one vote as opposed to a bylaw where it takes 3 readings. So you still have that council oversight. There's no change to the policy without council approval, but it doesn't necessarily need to be a full bylaw to support this. And as the policy has grown, as you've seen in terms of roles and responsibilities, it's our feeling that it's better suited for a policy as opposed to a standalone bylaw. The one main change that we're going to be proposing through this to our current practices has to do with the deadline for public comments. So this is written comments before the public hearing. So currently we accept written comments up until 4:30 p.m., so end of day on the Thursday before the meeting. That means that our city staff, including Shelley and Bernadette and others, are here Thursday nights pulling their hair out as they're trying to get all the comments in. They're trying to figure out all the questions. We're looking at our reports to see, what answers do we need to have for the questions that have been raised. And then all the comments also need to get translated, put into your package, and posted on the Friday the next day. So that is quite a lot to do the night before. And it's been, what we see is that most comments flood in just before the deadline. So those Thursday nights do get quite busy. We are proposing to change that deadline to 1 p.m. so that staff that are working on that can pull their hair out during office hours instead of at night, which is great. And that will just make sure that our council packages are just a little bit more streamlined, a little bit better put together, and folks will just have a little bit more time to respond to that. In order to notify this change, so we'll be updating our website if council chooses to proceed. We'll also be updating all of our notices to make it clear that the deadline for written comments is at 1 p.m. as opposed to 4:30 p.m. And something that we will do as well that we are currently doing, but there's a minimum notice period in the Act. So we need to give at least 21 days notice to the public hearing. Our process has been to give 21 days notice till the Thursday before so that you have a full 21 days to get to the public hearing written comments in. And so the public hearing would typically be about 25 days after the notice, which is more than enough time to meet the legislation. And so we'll keep up with that practice to make sure that there's a full 21 days until the time that you have to submit written comments. So folks still have a good opportunity to participate in this process. And again, if you don't want to submit written comments, you can always come to the meeting and speak to council and ask any questions that you might have. Why is this decision tied? I think I might have already gone over this, but currently the procedure is in Schedule A of the bylaw. Council is considering a new bylaw this evening. And so if you do proceed with that new bylaw, we'd also be looking to proceed with this new policy. Something that just, a question that we're going to leave with you folks, and I don't expect an answer on this tonight. And again, I think many of you, you've not maybe been through a public hearing before. As you start to go through them, you might develop an opinion on this. But oftentimes we get to a point in a public hearing where, there's a lot of comments, there's a lot of questions, maybe the applicant or staff don't necessarily have the answers on the spot. And so council looks to postpone the public hearing for additional information. And there's basically two ways that you can do this, and we've actually done them both ways. I would say both ways have pros and cons, so that's why we're kind of asking you the question about how you would like to do this. But one way is to actually close the public hearing itself and then postpone the item so that we come back to a later date. Maybe there's new plans or new information to address the council questions that occurred during the public hearing, but that means that members of the public cannot speak again because the public hearing was closed at that meeting. Or you can postpone the public hearing itself, and as we get new plans, maybe in future meetings, the members of the public could participate again. However, that means that if the public hearing remains open, what we see is residents tend to try to lobby their councillors as much as they can during that time. And where you're in a quasi-judicial process, you really shouldn't be discussing, too much with residents one-on-one. The discussion should be happening at the public hearing. So we've done them both ways. I'm not saying one way is better than the other. They both have their pros, they both have their cons. And I think as we start to get into more public hearings, maybe it's a discussion we can revisit. So right now, our new policy is silent on what to do if you want to postpone, which means that you could choose either avenue, and it might be good to see on a case-by-case, one might be better than the other. But definitely a discussion that we can revisit in a few months once we've got a few public hearings under our belt. And so the recommendation tonight is to approve the new public hearing policy, to do so in connection with the final adoption of the procedural bylaw A-426, to direct administration to update the city's website, forms, and related public information. And if the final readings are not given to the procedural bylaw, we would ask that you just hold off on passing this policy until we're ready to move forward with the full bylaw. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh, for the presentation. So, Council, we do have a motion before us, and I see Councillor Kingston and Councillor Kavukian have their lights on, so I'm assuming you want to move this motion before we start discussion on it. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Councillor Kingston, perfect. Councillor Kavukian. Okay, so Councillor Kingston, your light was on first. You have the mic.
Thank you. Just to comment, Josh, great stuff in support of the onus on objectors on the 1 o'clock deadline. I think that's fantastic, and it helps the whole system react accordingly to your point, and I think that's a positive move moving forward as the moving up of the deadline in respect of our hardworking staff. Thank you very much for that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Kavukian.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I had one question, Josh. I mean, on the one hand, I think it's really too bad we don't still have an Enhancing Democracy Committee, because there could be democracy-related reverberations from a change like this. So I actually just wanted to ask you what you think. Are there any potential downsides, for example, to having a more easily amendable policy? So, I mean, for the moment, for example, I mean, I have a feeling that most of us are pretty reasonable folks, right? The next council may not be, depending on how the public acts. And so we may end up with a council at some point in time that is rather capricious and feels as though it should change the policy after every meeting that goes kind of badly, right? So I guess I wonder whether I'm overthinking this, or whether you think maybe some of these things could be mitigated in another way, potentially. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think no such thing as overthinking anything at this point, especially when it comes to planning. So I would say that I think the policy is still suitable, and I think it will still achieve, ultimately what we need to achieve. And really the boundaries of, public participation are established in the Community Planning Act. So it's legislation that, this council or the next council will not have authority over. So there are notification periods that need to be followed. There is a deadline for written submission within the act as well that needs to be followed. So you cannot stop public participation because you would not be following the provincial legislation through that process.
Okay, so in other words, the legislation still provides guardrails.
Correct.
Such that even the most capricious council would have limits beyond which they could not amend the policy.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thanks, Josh, for the presentation. The only thing that I missed in here that we spoke about everything else in this policy, but sometimes a person will send a letter in for or against, and they can't make it to the meeting. There's nothing in here about them coming on web and speaking, or So what are we doing with the people that, for instance, let's say they're disabled and they can't get here, and they want to come. So there's nothing in this policy that even questions or mentions them. So what's your view on that?
Yeah, that's a great. Do you want me to? Okay, I'll start and then we'll see if I get corrected. No, that's a great question. So right now we don't do hybrid public hearings, so it is in person, but every person does have the opportunity to participate by submitting written comments. And that is why those written comments do form part of your package. They are posted on the website so everybody can see what those comments are. So just because it's not someone in the room that's providing you feedback, you do have those comments on record and provided to you before the meeting so that you can be aware of that person's position. What we've also seen too is that when people can't make a meeting, if they're out of town, oftentimes they'll send other people to speak on their behalf. So that's been another practice that folks have done to adapt. And of course, you can always watch the public hearing that's streamed online. You just cannot participate virtually. I don't know, France, if there's anything else to add to that.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Actually, there is a disposition in the policy. I believe it's under 4.2 and then 5, and it says a person requiring an accommodation to submit a written submission or to participate in a public hearing should contact the city clerk in advance. The city may provide reasonable accommodation in accordance with the applicable law. So if there is a request for an accommodation because someone can't attend, we'll have to review that request and see how we can accommodate that person.
Do we have that in this package?
It is, yes.
I didn't read it.
It's under the policy document, and it's under, there's I think it's at page 3 of 5.
We don't have to look it up. I trust you wholeheartedly. I just didn't see it in
So if there is a request that comes in, we would absolutely review it and see what type of accommodation the city could provide the person.
But right now, we couldn't do it anyway. Do we have the technology to do it?
I'm just saying we'd review the request and see what type of accommodation we could provide the person with.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Richard.
Thank you, Mayor Crossman. Josh, you did mention the 21 days. We had a development not that long ago off of McLaughlin. I don't think you were here at the time. I don't think you had made your comeback.
Okay. Well, I can't speak to what happened when I was in here.
Well, it happened anyway. So I'm not sure if someone else wants to take the question, but the 21 days happened during Christmas holidays.
Oh, I see.
And those residents in the area were very upset. There's nothing in here that covers that would.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything specifically in there. I know we try to avoid notification over the holidays as much as possible. So yeah, I'm not familiar with that particular case, but if we were to notify over the holidays, typically we would give like extended amount of time, like it'd be well more than the 21 days. But it's tough, right? Because, over Christmas, maybe that's a tough time of year, but then we often have development that comes in the summer, and then we get complaints that, well, I was out of town for 2 weeks, right? So I didn't know about this. So, there's always going to be that balance of, that's going to be a comment that I think you hear quite frequently.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything else to add to that.
Elaine, you wish to add to this?
I think Josh have answered pretty well, but Councillor Richard, that was not this past Christmas, but the one before. So this year we had kind of a similar situation, and as Josh mentioned, we gave extra time because the period was during the holidays. So, that was noted, and we'll do that in the future as well.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. I mean, I'm just saying that it wasn't in the policy, so as long as staff is aware of it, and we don't try not to do that again, I guess. So, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Josh. Not seeing any other questions, so at this point I will call for the vote. So, Council, the electronic vote is up. Okay, so the vote is unanimous, 11 Thank you, Council. Madam City Clerk.
The next item is statements by members of council. Les exposés des membres du conseil.
Sorry. Councilor Butler.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I appreciate just for Public Works probably. Appreciate getting the work done up on Mountain Road, from Hildegard to what is it? Palisade Drive. No, what is it? It's down by right across from Canadian Tire, Plaza Boulevard. It's not my ward, so I didn't know the street. One of the things, I'm getting phone calls all day. It's great to get the streets done, but are we doing our communications well enough? I'm getting a lot of calls about peak times at 8 in the morning, at noon, and at 3:34, 4:35 about the amount of traffic that's backed up in that area. Are we ever thinking, and we've talked about this before, we're talked about maybe doing some work at different hours? And I know when that goes out, it's hard to get workers and it's hard to get this and overtime and budgets, but you know, that is probably one of the busiest places in on Mountain Road, Hildegard to Trinity Drive and down further. And I'm just wondering, is there anything we can do with the contractors to help us out with the traffic issues? Plaza is right across. It goes down by
Elaine or Dawn,
by,
you want to try to quickly answer this question?
The question is related to patching exercise?
No, I think they're chipping it all up and putting a new street, putting
milling and paving.
Milling, yeah.
Okay. That would fall to Elaine.
Oh, well.
So Elaine, just give me a second to get your. There you go. Oh, there you go. No. There.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Butler. It's something we've looked at in the past, for example, when we were doing Main Street. Obviously, nighttime work has other impacts on nearby residences or hotels, or there's none there, I guess, but it's always something to consider. Also, additional cost. Our inspectors need to be on site, so it's just a lot of things to consider. For this specific project, I don't know if it was. I can get back to council on that question. However, it is something that we now consider on a site-specific basis.
Well, if you wouldn't wait just to get back to council, but if you give back to me and Councillor Much, it'd be great appreciated. Because what happened today was there's two ways out of the north end. It's that way, or go down Barry's Mills, and there was an accident at Barry's Mills in Hildegard or in Edinburgh, and traffic was backed up almost to the dump. And on Mountain Road, it was almost a magnetic hill. So, people love to get the roads done, but at the same time, they have places to go and they have to pick up their children at daycares and things like that. So, it'd be appreciated if somebody could maybe touch base with the contractor and see what they can come up with, and maybe get back to us and work together on this so we don't get so many complaints.
Yes, I'll follow up, certainly. Typically, these types of items are included in a tender from the beginning, but I'll certainly follow up and see what else we could improve to make that situation better. And
also, too, maybe we could work with communications and get, I only heard it once on the radio this morning, very early, that, there's going to be a tie-up on Mountain from Hildegard to Plaza Boulevard, so, and past Trinity. So maybe a few more times on the news or even on our Facebook page or something, just so they know. Thank you
Certainly,
so much.
I'll follow up.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Doyle.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to take a moment. We've touched on it a couple times tonight around the number of drug poisoning / overdoses that have been happening. And I just wanted to extend my very sincere thanks to the first responders. We talked about that a little bit tonight in terms of fire and policing. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge the frontline service providers in the community sector who have been shouldering a lot of this mental, emotional, and physical burden without the same type of mental health supports. And so I did want to just say that we see it and we hear it, and I wish them the very, very best. If folks do come across somebody who's experiencing drug poisoning and or overdose, please call 911. And if you see somebody in mental distress, you can call 211 if they don't need police intervention. So I just want to remind folks that that exists.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Kavokian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to take a moment. I know that this is apparently National Public Service Week, which specifically I think is there to suggest that people pay a little more attention to public servants that work for the governments that sort of ostensibly run things, but really make decisions and then let other people do the day-to-day work of running things. And on that note, I wanted to take a moment to say how very impressed I am by the staff that works for this city. We've gotten a really warm welcome and a really great orientation from all of you that work here, the general managers, the CAO, and many, many members of the staff, but also even in answering emails from constituents. When we have a question we can't answer, it's been just remarkable to email one of you and get such a fulsome response back in such a hurry. So I just wanted to take a moment and let you know that you're very appreciated, and that I think I'm probably not alone in marveling at your experience and your expertise and your willingness to have those important conversations. And my goal would be to make sure that my constituents are aware of that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Not seeing any other comments at this time. Madam City Clerk.
There are no reports and recommendations coming from committees and private meetings. Il n'y a pas de rapport et de recommandations des comités et des réunions à huis clos. The next would be reports from administration is les rapports de l'administration. And the first this evening is a quotation QP 26026, curb gutter and sidewalk renewals. Motion before council is that Moncton City Council approve the award of a quotation QP 26026, curb and gutter and sidewalk renewal to AR Ritzel Landscaping Limited at the unit rates specified in their bid submission, representing a total estimated 3-year contract value of $839,251.50, including HST at 15%.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. At Council, we have a motion before us. I'm looking for a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Richard, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Any questions on today's motion? Not seeing any, so I will call for the vote. Council, the vote is up. Yeah, we'll acknowledge. Motion passes with Councillor Much not able to attend. She's not in the room. So motion passes 10. Madam City Clerk.
Next is a tender TCS 26030 Warm Storage Building Replacement Operations Center. Motion before council is that Moncton City Council approve the award of tender TCS 26030, the warm storage building replacement to the lowest bidder, meeting all terms and conditions and specifications to Quantum Construction Maritime Limited for the total tendered price of $7,647,500, including HST at 15%. The mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute all documents and affix the corporate seal thereto. And I believe that there is a presentation by Mr. Morehouse.
Don, if you could just hit the button and I'll open the mic. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, your mayor and your council. I'm here this evening to talk about a building that we're looking to replace. Is the PowerPoint up?
Could we bring up the PowerPoint, please?
There we go. So anyway, the building we're referring to is the warm storage. It's on the Operations Center at Worthington Avenue. So the building itself, there we go. So just to put in context the function of this building, it provides equipment storage to our equipment and supplies that we use for keeping our roads and sidewalks safe and serviceable along with providing emergency support services that are core for our community and quick response. So this issue has been an ongoing issue for many years. In 2022, Council adopted a study that was put through by a consultant we hired to do a master plan review of the operations center because it has a long history in the city. And out of that, obviously, replacement of our older buildings was approved. Funding for this facility has been approved, and the budget is within our allocation. So just some background, some of you may have gone for a tour last week, I believe. Was able to look at some of our facilities. This location here, we refer to as the warm storage. It was built in 1965, approximately 13,500 square feet, 13,500 square feet. And it is basically quite a while ago, we outgrew it. And it also has nearing its end of life. It has a lot of deficiencies to keep it maintained. So some of the pictures here show some of the environment our staff have to try to work in. It's the area of this building doesn't match our present needs. It creates a lot of congestion, and it doesn't meet our existing storage space requirements since it was constructed. So throughout this exercise, we did review options in our study. We even considered, do we relocate the operations center? Because obviously development has occurred around our facility. But at the end of it all, the council decided that we should stay at the Worthington site and try to work and replace existing buildings that need to be replaced. But out of the neighborhood concerns, noise and dust was two large areas of concern, of which we have done some mitigating efforts over last year. We've done a lot of resurfacing in the yard to try to mitigate dust. And obviously, we've also built another cold storage building there to help manage equipment and materials. So we also had a consideration, and you'll see on my next slide that maybe we go back to a plan that was developed back in 1994, where we try to remove the warm storage, and there's another building adjacent to it called Central Stores. But when we did some cost estimating on that solution, it was too expensive. It was cost prohibitive. So we returned back to just replacing the existing warm storage that is basically in need of replacement. So we do have our authority from the borrowing authority from our that we had received just before the tender closed. And basically the building that's being proposed is going to be 28,000 square feet, being a pre-engineered structure, and it will meet our present needs. So this here shows you basically some of the existing conditions of the building. It's of the era it was built. It has a brick fascia, but it's obviously a lot of deterioration is occurring. The building itself, if you look at the ortho view, it's the building that's closest, the oldest building that's closest to Worthington Avenue. That's sort of next to the staff parking. And interesting enough, back in 1994, this was the concept of design to replace the construction of that time. But due to budgetary considerations, only half of that facility was built, which is there today. So what's left behind is the warm storage, which we're talking about replacing, and the central stores, which at this point in time is still deemed in good enough condition to maintain. So what are we going to need the warm storage for? Obviously, our business has grown over the years. One area is paint in the sign shop. Painting is growing. That's a big area of work in the summer for us. It's a very visible service we provide. And that's also tied to active transportation. There's a lot of work going on with active transportation, so we need space to facilitate that type of work. Our sidewalk network, even though we don't plow all of our sidewalks, our sidewalk plowing unit number has grown over the years, especially since I've been here, and that they require space to be stored. The street plow trucks, the same situation. That fleet's growing as we speak also. And they are considered, I consider them our first response equipment. They're the first piece of equipment that have to be on the road to provide service, especially during storm events. And timing is everything, and they need to be ready to go. Excavators are obviously going to be stored in there too for emergency response. We do produce a product called brine. That's a product we put down the roadways and use in our salt application process to help manage our salt and also give a better product for ice control. Sewer flushers will be in there, and also over the years we've noticed a huge growth in this is supplies our staff need to do their job. That could be safety related, tools have to be stored, maintained, so they need space to put things. And also washing. Washing for the equipment is a real challenge right now with the present setup. So we're seeing this new facility will have more capacity to wash the equipment. That's a big investment for the city, plus it creates a better probability of reliability. Now, this is a general overview of where it's going to sit. Well, basically, it's going to replace the old building will be torn down. This new facility will be, like you say, 28,000 square feet, rough math, 125 feet wide and 225 feet long. So it will face, from the Worthington Avenue side, you'll have 6 bays shown, and from the inside the compound side, you'll have 8 bays of access. So this gives you sort of a simple view from the front view. If I'm driving down Worthington, looking across, this is what I'll see. And when I'm in behind the shop, I'll be the back view. So the budget that we had our consultant do an estimate for this facility in today's market came up with a price of $10.75 million. So the project was put out to tender April the 10th, and it closed on May the 20th. And as the CRF shows, we had 4 bids received, with the lowest bid valued at $6.65 million. And we have a rebated HST, so the net value with the rebated HST will be $6.935 million. So the next steps for us would be obviously to award the contract and allow for about a 12-month build on this facility. There will also be, once the building is completed, asphalt paving requirements around the building itself that will tie into other paving that's going in the yard. So that's about $800,000 cost. And there is a phase 2 to all this. We do still recognize the importance of maintenance and washing the equipment we have. So we've set aside a plan to build that as a separate wash bay setup at about $1.55 million, which will occur after this phase is completed. So I guess the recommendation is to City Council is to approve the award of the tender for the warm storage replacement.
Thank you, Don, for your presentation. So Council, we do have a, City Clerk, did you want to read the recommendation in the record, or we'll? Before I ask for a mover and a seconder?
I can read it again.
Thank you.
Motion that Moncton City Council approve the award of tender TSC 26030 warm storage building replacement to the lowest bidder, meeting all terms and conditions and specification, to Quantum Construction Maritime Limited for the total tender price of $7,647,500, including HST of 15%, and that the mayor and the city clerk be authorized to execute all necessary documents and affix a corporate seal thereto.
Thank you, City Clerk. So I have 2 lights lit. Councilor Butler, you wish to move this recommendation? Oh, that's okay. You have a question? I do have a question. Councilor Much, you wish to second this? Thank you. Councilor Butler, your question.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thanks, Don, for the presentation. I think this is something that's well overdue for the employees, especially up there. Just a couple questions. One, is this job is already in the budget from last year? So it's already been recognized. All right. And the second one would be, Don, when you're talking to the contractor that's going to build this, maybe you could make aware that it's very close also to a subdivision, Pinehurst, and with the dust and noise and the traffic going in and out with vehicles and things, heavy vehicles, that they would take into account that it affects the neighbors on Worthington.
Yeah, for sure, Council. The project is going to be managed by our facilities team, but they'll be obviously dealing with with any issues like that. The good thing about this construction is it's where it's pre-engineered. It comes in, it's almost like putting together a prefab building, so it goes up very quickly. The main focus out of the gate this fall will be to get the foundations in. Once they're in, then we'll wait for the building to come in, and once it's enclosed, it should be, like you say, hopefully kept tidy. But that will definitely be looked after.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Don, just one quick question, time frame. What are we looking at? You mentioned putting in the foundation, but are we going to see a new building this year, or are we going to be into 2027?
The site will be turned over, I guess, once the contract is awarded, a schedule will be finalized, but the intention is to turn the site over to the contractor in probably July, August, basically, and then they'll have the site until next June is our tentative completion target. So it will spill into 2027.
Okay, so we're looking at a year, roughly within a year.
Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you, Don. I appreciate that. So we did have a mover and a seconder, not seeing any other questions, so I will call on the question. Council, the vote is up. Everybody. So motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Council. Madam City Clerk?
The next one is wetland protective equipment, and the motion before council is that Moncton City Council approve the purchase of not wetland, it's a wildland firefighter. If it was wetland, we wouldn't have a wildfire, sorry. Okay, so let's start this over again. Motion before council is that Moncton City Council approve the purchase of wildland firefighter helmets in the amount of $35,420, taxes included, with funding to be provided by the capital funds budget.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Council, we do have a motion, so I will look for a mover and a seconder. I've got two lights on. Councillor Richard's light was on first. I assume you wish to move this? And a question, and Councillor LeBlanc, you second this? Okay, perfect. Councillor Richard, your question.
Thank you, Mayor Crossman. I'm guessing this might be a Jacques question in the financials. In the background of the CRF, it mentions items being purchased are not capital in nature. Below in the financial tab, it sounds like we started with money from operations, shifted it to capital, and looks like we can move it back again. Maybe some clarification there, just to.
Thank you, Your Worship, through Conseiller Richard. So what's happening here is those items we cannot capitalize them as per public sector accounting because of the type of equipment or materials we're purchasing. That being said, we were lucky that for the new council, we fund a portion of our capital budget with operating funds, which means is pay as we go. It's like purchasing a car or purchasing an asset cash. We do that out of our operating budget. In this case, that capital account, the capital budget, was funded by capital from operating accounts. So really today, we're just coming into council to ask the authority because it was different than what was budgeted. And really, it's just a technicality. We're still achieving the same outcomes with that capital account. It's an operating purchase in nature.
I'm happy it's happening. I mean, we must protect our firefighters. I was just questioning how the money was coming around. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Turner.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship. To the chief, perhaps. I know recently the union or the association put together, I think, a study or report of recommendations they'd like to see council consider, number of members, different equipment and things, etc. I was wondering if this was one of the items that was included in their recommendations or their list of items they feel that would make our department even a better department.
Thank you, Your Worship, Councillor. Not aware that the association did a study. Maybe they did. They didn't share it with me, but the city did a fire service review last year and was presented to council. And yes, that's not necessarily. They asked us to review our wildland capacity period, so that would be part of it, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. So not seeing any other questions, I will call for the vote. So motion passes unanimously. Madam City Clerk?
Next is reading of bylaws électeurs et ratés municipaux. Just for your information, we're going to be doing these electronically, so bear with us. I will require a motion of council to provide second reading to the procedural bylaw.
So I'm looking for a mover and a seconder, Councillor Kingston and Councillor Kavokian.
Can we bring up the vote?
So motion passes for the second reading.
Turn myself off. A bylaw respecting the proceedings of Moncton City Council and committee meetings being bylaw A426, second reading, arrêté concernant les délibérations du Conseil municipal de la ville de Moncton et les réunions des comités soit l'arrêté A426, deuxième lecture. I'll require permission for third reading.
City Clerk is looking for a motion for third reading from Councillors Butler and Councillor Guédet. So call for a vote. Oh, vote's up. Motion passes unanimously.
Bylaw respecting the proceedings of Moncton City Council and committee meetings being bylaw A426 is the third reading. Arrêté concernant les délibérations du Conseil municipal de Moncton et les réunions du comité soit l'arrêté A426, c'est la troisième lecture.
Nope, we don't need a vote.
I lied.
We've covered that.
Yes, we did.
Perfect.
Just want to make sure it passes. That's what I want to know. Notice of motions and resolutions is avis de motion et résolution. And today we have the election of the deputy mayor, and I will read council the lovely memo that I provided you. Following are the pieces of legislation, including the City of Moncton's procedural bylaw that governs the election of the deputy mayor. Pursuant to the Local Governance Act, Section 48(3), the council of a local government shall elect a deputy mayor. Pursuant to the City of Moncton's bylaw respecting proceedings of the City of Moncton Council and committee meetings, it was, as of 2 minutes ago, Section 19. I believe it's still the same wording. It's just a different section. I couldn't put it in your memo because I didn't know if you guys were going to pass it. Subsection 90, council shall elect a deputy mayor at its first meeting and annually thereafter at a regular council meeting following the anniversary date of the preceding municipal election. An election will be conducted pursuant to Section 66(1) of the Local Governance Act, which sets no votes shall be taken by ballot or by any other method of secret voting, and every vote taken in that matter is of no effect. Our current process is as follows. Mayor Crosman will call for nominations for the position of deputy mayor. Councilors can then nominate a councilor for deputy mayor. Self-nominations are also permitted. The mayor will check with each nominee as to whether he or she is willing to serve if elected. At the conclusion of the call, the mayor will call again for three more times for any nominations. Once all nominations are received and accepted by the nominee, a motion will be made that nominations cease. Once carried, a public vote will be taken. Please note, in the past, council has not had more than 2 nominations for the position of deputy mayor, and the procedure was then simple. The person receiving the majority of votes would be named deputy mayor. In the event that more than 2 nominations, a potentially different process is required, which will still be fair, clear, and public. If there are more than 2 nominations, a majority of council is still required to elect the deputy mayor. This means that more than 1 vote will be required. If no one receives a majority of the votes, no one will be dropped from the ballot, and in this case, unless he or she wishes to withdraw their name. The reason for not dropping anyone is that counselors are entitled to change their minds and vote for someone else in the second ballot. And if this happens, those with the lowest votes can potentially attract enough votes to win. To enable you to make an informed decision on how to vote, we are proposing that once nominations cease, each nominee will have the opportunity to say a few words not to exceed 2 minutes in support of their candidacy. After all nominees have spoken, the mayor will call for the vote. The city clerk will then call for an electronic vote. They choose and for each council member, and we will calculate these votes. If a majority of council present votes for one candidate, that person will be named deputy mayor. If there is not a majority, the mayor will ask if any nominee is willing to withdraw their candidacy. Afterwards, the list of candidates, not including those who withdrew their name, will be read and a second vote will be called. This process will continue until such time a candidate receives a majority vote.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So at this time, I will call for nominations for the position of Deputy Mayor for the City of Moncton. Councillor Butler, you have your light on.
Yes, Your Worship, I'd like to nominate Councillor Paul Richard. Thank you.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? Oh, we don't need a seconder. Okay, good. Okay, sorry. It's the first time I'm on this side asking the question. So I will then call for another nominations for position of Deputy Mayor for the City of Moncton. One more time, I will call for nominations for the position of Deputy Mayor for the City of Moncton. One more time, the third time, I will call for nominations for position of the Deputy Mayor of the City of Moncton. Not seeing any other nominations. Madam City Clerk?
And the motion before council at the moment is that Councillor Paul Richard be elected as Deputy Mayor for the term of 2026. Yep, I'm going to need a mover and a seconder. Oh,
right.
Yeah, sorry.
My apologies, Councillor
Sorry.
Richard. I forgot to ask if you'd be willing to accept such nomination.
Can you give him the floor?
Oh, yeah, and I can give you the floor. Oh, hold on, big fingers. There we go.
Yes, I would accept, and I appreciate the confidence put in from council.
Thank you. I do have some lights on for the motion that was just read, correct? Okay, good. Councillor LeBlanc, you have your light on first?
Yes,
You wish to move it?
Yes.
Yes, or second it?
Yes.
Okay, good, perfect, thank you. Questions on the motion around the table? Not seeing any questions,
We'll bring up an electronic vote.
so I will call for the vote. This should be electronic. Council has approved Councillor Richard as the 2026 Deputy Mayor for the City of Moncton by a vote of 11. So it is unanimous. Congratulations, Councillor Richard, and now I will turn the mic over to you if you wish to say a few words. I'm not going to put the pressure on you, but it's probably a good thing. Just push your button now. Thank you.
30 seconds or less. Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, members of council, for your confidence and support. I'm honored to serve as Deputy Mayor, and I look forward to supporting the Mayor, my colleagues, city staff, and the residents of Moncton. In this role, I will do my best to serve with the same commitment, respect, and dedication that I bring to my role as Ward 4 Councillor. Merci. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. And just so you know, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, we have agenda review. I have meetings starting at 8 to 10, but I'll let you off on those ones. So if you could do the 10 o'clock meeting for agenda review, would be greatly appreciated. Madam City Clerk.
This can be done electronically too. We can send you a Teams link. I knew you were going to ask me that. I was anticipating having an email within 2 seconds. Okay. Appointments to committees and nominations Nomination à des comités, and I know you have a few.
Oof. Yes, thank you, Madam City Clerk. So I do have a full list of appointments to agency boards, commissions, or committees. So I'm going to do this in alphabetical order of the commission or the committee. So Ability Transit, Board of Directors, Councillor Doyle. Association francophone des municipalités du Nouveau-Brunswick, AFMNB, Councillor LeBlanc. Boys and Girls Club of Moncton, Councillor Richard. Sorry, Deputy Mayor Richard. Capitol Theatre Board of Directors, Councillor Doyle. CAO Evaluation Committee, Mayor Sean Crosman, Councillor Doyle, Councillor Kingston. City of Moncton Employees Pension Board, Mayor Sean Crosman, Councillor Butler, Councillor Gadet. Kodiak Regional Policing Authority, Councillor Butler. Blue Cross Stade Bleu Medivh Stadium Management Committee, Councillor Richard. Crosman Community Center / K Arena Programs Committee, Councillor LeBlanc. Downtown Centre-Ville Board, Councillor Kingston. Events Moncton, Councillor Kingston. Grant Evaluation Committee, Councillor Doyle, Councillor Gadet. Heritage Conversation Board, Councillor Kingston. Internal Auditor Committee, Mayor Sean Crosman, Councillor Butler, Councillor Legier. Moncton Market Complex Commission, Councillor Legier. Moncton Cultural Board, Councillor Gadet, Councillor Much. Moncton Industrial Development, MID, Mayor Sean Crosman, Councillor Turner, Councillor LeBlanc. Moncton Public Library Board, Councillor Kavukian. Multicultural Association of Greater Moncton, Inc., MAGMA, Councillor Kavukian. Municipal Plan Review Committee, Councillor Kavukian, Councillor Kingston, Deputy Mayor Richard. Order of Moncton Selection Committee, Mayor Crossman, Councillor Much, Councillor Turner. Public Safety Advisory Committee, Councillor Legier. Santa Claus Parade, Councillor Turner. Senior Advisory Committee, Councillor Turner, Councillor Much. Social Inclusion Committee, Councillor LeBlanc. Southeast Regional Service Commission Executive Committee, Mayor Crossman. Transit Governance Committee, Councillor Butler, Councillor Kavukian, Councillor Gadet. Union of New Brunswick Municipalities Zone 2 Representative, Councillor Richard. Union of Municipalities Urban Municipal Caucus, Mayor Crossman. Youth Advisory Committee, Councillor Legier, Councillor Much. At this point, I need a motion to approve the appointments from council. Moved by Councillor Legier and seconded by Councillor Kavukian. And seeing no questions, I will ask for the vote. Is this a show of hands or electronic? Oh, electronic, so the voting is up. So council has approved those appointments unanimously. Thank you, council. Madam City Clerk?
Nothing left on the agenda.
Nothing left on the agenda except for the adjournment. Deputy Mayor Richard, would you like to adjourn the meeting? Thank you. Thank you, council, and thank you to the public.